Yes, coming at you this Tuesday afternoon, as usual, all over your screen and in your ears. Oh, forget that. Whatever time zone or time stream that you're in, it's time for Type 40 Live this week. With me, Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks and designated Type 40 pilot, with my Doctor Who mug as always. And just in case you've never been here before, even, this is the Spacebook, the best channel that you've never heard of, and this is Type 40 Live, which is our regular live stream, a silly, talky, geeky live stream on a Tuesday afternoon with, an assortment of companions, and you there in the chat, waiting with your comments, your likes. Is that a big enough hint? Please like the video. And interact wherever and whenever you can, whether you're watching us over on the Facebook page, streaming direct to the Facebook page now. Lots of new likers and followers on there. So if you're new to the channel and the page, welcome. Or you could be in the Doctor Who Type 40 Facebook group. You could be one of our companions tucked away, nestled in the very bosom of Type 40 there. Hello to you too. And of course, over on YouTube, the world's largest streaming platform. Yeah. Oh, we got a subject today. I can appreciate the thumbnail for today's show is a little bit more alarming than we usually go with. But we have put that firm red stamp on it there to let you know we're going to be talking about rumours today. Rumours and speculation. Is that a big enough disclaimer for you? If you're watching thinking, God, what are they going to talk about? Where's this going to go? Wait and see. We've got some opinions, certainly. We may not have the answers, but we have lots of insight, maybe, and good humour, which I think counts for a great deal when you're talking about these things. And speaking of which, I can't really do all that alone, can I? I can't just be sat here talking to this screen on my own. I need my friends and companions here too. We've got lots of people watching, I see in the chat already. We've got Mega Neurobyte. Hyping afternoon, everybody. Lord Thoth. Hello, Dan at the Spacebook. Yes, there they all are. Greetings from the Dalek factory, says Mega Neurobyte. Who else? And Legend of the Travelling TARDIS. Hello, Whovians. I'll be back at showtime. There we are. And what's this? Depends how many people are I don't know what that's about. But yes, lots of people. They're all having conversations between themselves. This is how you know you've cultivated a nice, relaxing atmosphere to talk about something deep and meaningful, like Doctor Who. Of course it is. Who should we bring in first? Who have we got first? Let's see. Oh, yes, he's the original Lunatic. So I can't think of anybody better to bring on, really, particularly to a stream, which is going to cover a wide range of subjects. Here he is. It's Simon Horton. Hello, Simon. You okay?
Hello, everybody. Hello. It's nice to be here. It makes a change for me to be in on time, doesn't it? I normally crash in about an hour late, but I'm here. Woohoo!
Eager to get started.
On time today. I am eager to get started. I've got lots to talk about today, and I'm raring to go.
We're talking about crashing in. I saw this story and I thought, I know I've got to share this with her. Check this out. In fact, I want to bring somebody else in as well, see what she's got to say. Let's bring in Charlotte Shields as well. Hello, Charlotte. You
Hello.
Okay?
Yeah.
Hello, Charlotte.
Tuesday afternoon. Here we are again. You're looking fresh as a daisy. Have you had a good day?
You said that. I don't believe you, but very nice compliment.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about. I tell you what, Doctor Who at the moment, it's full of whispers, isn't it? Whispers and speculation.
Is it
because I haven't got anything else to talk about.
I think it's time we plucked some of that up and had a good sniff, isn't it? But before we get into all of that, I wanted to know your opinions on this particular story. Now, where is it? Let's have a look. Yes, here we are. Yes, BG star Barry Gibb reveals he and his wife had a romp in Doctor Who's TARDIS. Now, you were talking about crashing in. now, that was kind of what I said, but yes, this is obviously the elder BG, the remaining BG. This is BG star Barry Gibb has revealed he and his wife had an intimate encounter in Doctor Who's TARDIS the night they met. The 74-year-old Staying Alive singer has been married to the former Miss Edinburgh, Linda Gray, since 1970, after they met during a recording of Top of the Pops. He says she was the hostess for 1 week, and the week that Massachusetts, their classic track, was #1. And she'd never heard of it. They saw each other across a crowded room and something happened. And we had a bit of a cuddle, so he says, in Doctor Who's TARDIS, surrounded by Daleks. He goes on to say that Sir Barry and Gray, 70, have 5 children together and 7 grandchildren. So it was obviously a memorable night that started something very, very serious. But of course, back in 1970, this was at the time where Doctor Who's TARDIS, let's be honest, it was at that moment in between the second and third Doctor's eras where, when it appeared back on screen, the old console that they'd had for 7 years, dials were falling off, bits were cracking, and we always all put it down to the passage of time, didn't we? But I think that really it could have been the work of a BG.
We're getting to the truth of it now, are we?
I think we are. I think it's Big Bonking Bazza that did the damage. What do you think, guys? What do you think about this? Shocking?
Well, I want to know where was the TARDIS at this time? It wasn't in the Top of the Pop studio. So that means that Barry must have gone hunting through Television Centre to find the TARDIS.
Or did he just get very lost? And thought, that would do.
I think it could have been. It's a frightening thought. It's a frightening thought, isn't it, JT? What do you think about all this?
Not much. I can top that, but I'm too much of a gentleman to spill the beans.
I think
save that up for the after show. Save it up for the after show.
I'm saving it for the book.
I don't know. In the prop store, they must have ended up in the prop store, mustn't they? Let's be honest.
I don't know.
They could have been. They could have been, but it was certainly. I can't imagine that the entire set would have been together if they weren't recording. There's only so much space at Television Centre. I know somebody who never saves any of those kind of stories up for the book. It can only be the rabbi from another planet, couldn't it? Svila Betkin, what do you think? you never save anything up, do you?
No, it all comes out. The minute it goes from my head, comes straight out. Listen, I think it was more of a standing up affair in a prop closet in the TARDIS, in the
police box. Yeah,
that seems the most likely case. No,
yeah, I agree.
There's no bathroom to hand. I guess that's what they did.
It brings a whole new meaning to the word 5 Mile High Club, doesn't it? I mean, this is like 5 Million Mile High Club.
Wasn't Massachusetts in the 60s? Oh, you see the geek levels are going here now. Change the subject.
I would say it's probably 69, is it?
Oh,
hey! You never know. Knowing Barry, I won't put it past him. But the thing is, the records used to stay at number 1 for a good 6 months then, didn't they? So it could have been. It could have crossed over. We don't know. We know somebody who was working on Top of the Pops. Maybe he knows. I think it was a little bit later on, but he may have found some graffiti or found it in a locked file somewhere when he went roaming around looking for the gents. Let's ask Ian David Diaz. What do you think? You ever heard this legend?
No.
No.
Do you know what? Right. I've never walked on Doctor Who set at all. Actually, I wish I did. Actually, maybe I would have caught them in there doing the.
No.
But no. I wish I was actually on the Doctor Who set, but I've never been. I bet you guys have, though. I bet JT has.
What?
Been on the set of Doctor Who.
Yeah, well, a long time ago.
I was lucky enough to be there when they were recording the 50th.
Wow, that's amazing.
There you go. Yeah.
It's a bit of a poison chalice, isn't it? They say you can go on to the set of Doctor Who. Your childhood dream. You can go to the set of Doctor Who, but only when Barry Gibbs is
vacated.
I don't know. What?
Well, you see, talking the TARDIS, I was lucky enough to be there when I saw the new Peter Capaldi TARDIS interior before it had appeared on television or anything.
You show off.
You know what can you do?
Were you impressed?
That's my second favorite.
I have to be honest. Yeah, it was odd because I didn't know when I arrived. I didn't realise that they got a new TARDIS set because of course it had all been a big secret. So I arrived and they said, they were doing here's the TARDIS set, and on I walked. I thought, hold on. This isn't how I remember it, and it took a moment for me to sort of. It wasn't like that, and it took a moment for me to acclimatise and realise this was a new set. And what's particularly impressive once you get onto that TARDIS set is it's so solid, it's so robust. It really feels like it's lived in. It's not like the old sets from the 70s. This is solid. It's built to last, and you can push all the buttons, and everything really does work. And it was very impressive, I have to say. It was.
And then they tore it down.
So they tore it down. Yeah.
It
Hi,
did get a
Daniel.
long life. It did get a long life, that one, did it? We got hail the chat. That was the word I was trying to find earlier on. Hail. That's what they all say across YouTube, isn't it? Hail this, hail
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's hail, not hail. That
That's a bit more-
and that was right after, like you said, what was it? It was like came out really dirty, whatever it was.
I've
It
no
was
idea.
like you got it caught in your ears. What was it? I can't remember. I remember.
Don't
like,
worry,
no
it's
idea.
not
Well,
No
might
idea.
surprise.
I don't
Let
think
it
anybody.
out.
I don't think anybody noticed. I think we'll be okay. And, where the song "How Deep Is Your Love" came from, it may well be. It's extra dimensional, relative dimensional. That's that's the answer, isn't it? And we've got people, whoever that is. So as you've just seen, it's not all groinal Doctor Who news this week. As you've just seen, I've got a picture of this lady to bring up because she is celebrating 40 years since she joined the Doctor Who family this very week, everybody. Sarah Sutton, who joined us, Nissa of Traken, first appeared on screen this week 40 years ago in episode 1 of that story. And there she is, looking well up for it, not knowing the full challenge.
What? Is it just me? Oh, is it like...
No, she looks eager and fresh. That was obviously during the recording of Legopolis, wasn't it? But unaware of the trials of the next 2 or 3 years for this plucky young actress. But I think for 40 years, good God. You think when you see Sarah Sutton now, she still doesn't look that old, does she?
No, she looks great. But we also have to say, of course, that it's also the 40th anniversary of the one and only Mr. Anthony Ainley, who joined in the same story.
Oh, of course.
The Keeper of Traken. And that was 40 years back on Sunday, wasn't it? It would have been. It started episode 1.
And Anthony gets quite a few more lines than Sarah Sutton. I think she only gets 1 line in episode 1, doesn't she? Bless her.
Really?
Yeah. Well, she wasn't at that point. Of course, it was only she wasn't really supposed to be a companion, was she? A famous story now. So John just took a little shine to the character.
Mm-hmm.
So lovely story. But 40 years, it's painful.
I know.
I can still remember that, that Keeper of Traken is ingrained in my memory because of that. Episode 4, which obviously is a month later than we're talking at the moment. But nonetheless, that reveal at the end of episode 4, I still just remember my jaw hitting the floor. Couldn't quite believe what I was seeing.
Sorry, guys, I just found out that Sir Tom Moore has died. You know, the guy that was...
no!
Yeah, he's died.
Oh, what a shame.
Got to break that news. It's not good, is it?
No, that's terrible. Yeah.
That is awful.
It's terrible, but I have no idea who he is.
Captain Tom Moore. I'm kind of heartbroken about this.
Yeah.
Oh, I know who it is now. Okay.
It's the guy who's raised all
He
that money.
raised millions for the NHS.
Right. I'm just looking
Well, I think we should all say hail to Tom Moore. Actually, I think we should all absolutely salute you, sir.
Captain Tom Moore. Yeah.
We do salute you, sir.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, he'd been in hospital. He'd contracted the coronavirus.
Yep.
He'd just got back from. I think he'd flown back from the holiday of a lifetime, which was his dream holiday. I can't remember. I think it was in Jamaica or somewhere. And I mean, without going too political with it, but I couldn't quite believe that he'd gone abroad at 100 years of age. I don't know what to say. My heart goes out to his friends and family. And
absolutely.
Maybe he just got to that age and he thought, you know what, I want a final blast on the holiday of a lifetime while I still can. Maybe he did.
Yeah, we deserve it.
Yeah, maybe.
Absolutely.
And at that age, you're entitled to as well, aren't you? But let's
He earned it.
Yeah, all the best to him and his to his family. That's wow.
Sad.
yeah,
But anyway, hello, Space Bookers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, obviously we are a fairly upbeat show generally, but even we're in the TARDIS, of course, and our rooms are cavernous and labyrinth, aren't they? We've got lots and lots of rooms, and some of them are very, very big.
But I still haven't found that swimming pool yet. That they say is in my TARDIS. Can't find it anywhere. So
it could be a very small
than one, I'm sure.
It's next to the boot cupboard.
Probably.
I think that no matter how many rooms you've got or how big they are, sometimes even in the Doctor Who community, there's elephants that appear in the room that you can't not talk about, can't address, and we're going to talk about all of that in a little while. But first, we're going to lean into a couple of other news items. Now, this bit of artwork, we like our artwork here in Type 40, as you know.
Love our artwork.
And this has just been released from our friend Oliver Arkenstall-Jones. Now, this is his latest piece.
Oh, gorgeous. I love it.
Space War speaks for itself. The title's obviously taken from the Target book, isn't it? But this is his cover for, his poster for the Doomsday Weapon.
Yeah.
Star Wars meets Space 1999 kind of thing. Fabulous.
That's another. I think it's got a feel of like just pre-Star Wars, like 90. It's got that. Big feel. It's more like Battle Beyond the Stars, which was after Star Wars.
Yeah.
But it's like it's got that more of like cheap, schlocky kind of
bargain basement Star Wars.
I don't know about you guys, but when I see a picture of John Pertwee, it just makes me go all the way back to when I was very young, watching it on TV.
Yeah. Tom Baker has the same effect for myself.
Yeah.
But that's going to look great on my wall.
That, to be honest, that poster is a heck of a lot better than the actual story it represents as well. Frontier in space. It is as dull as ditch water.
I get quite nostalgic for some of these, these alternative titles now, like the Autumn Invasion, the Space War, all that sort of stuff. Whereas they used to frustrate the hell out of me as somebody who was reading the books. Which story was which? I could never really work it out. But I think
you can't help thinking they should have called it the Space War instead of Frontier in Space. Which, I mean, Frontier in Space sounds as dull as ditch water.
Yeah, but would it be too close to Star Wars? What was it? Just after Star Wars?
No, it's
before Star
before.
Wars?
No, it's way before. Yeah, way before.
John Pertwee. Yeah.
73, 74, 73, 73. Actually, yes.
74. Season 4 will be
73.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even though the effects were bad and stuff like that, when you were a kid, it all seemed to make sense. You didn't notice all that crap, did you?
Yeah,
you just went with it. And that was the beauty of it.
It's interesting what you're saying about it being dull. I think that is a really good example of a story that is made not for the video age or the streaming age.
Yes.
It's like you watch it in 25-minute bits, it's perfectly entertaining.
Across 6 weeks.
They're doing the same thing every episode. They're like, oh, he's back.
But as a kid as well, it also builds up to the ending.
Yeah.
Where that must have been a real, that ending, oh my goodness. And then it goes into a sort of sequel, if you like.
Yeah, that would have been a shock. The ending would have been a shocker.
Yeah. And then it takes you into the next story. So,
it makes you wonder how they decided which Target books to give those alternative titles to. Which names seemed like they needed to spell it out that bit more.
I think
it was down to a sales tactic, wasn't it? They had to change certain things because they wanted to make it sellable, because they didn't realize back then that the range was going to be going on for 20 odd years. So I read it in David Howe's book, I think, or something like that, about the history of Target books, is that it was always about what the title would, like the first one, and the Daleks, the cave monsters. It's sellable. So, and those titles sort of established the Target range.
They've got no fat on them, have they? Any of them?
You know what? Yesterday I pulled out a VHS, and I've got a VHS machine right next to me, and I was watching, and it had an episode of Doctor Who. It had Tom Baker, Doctor Who, and the quality of picture was awful.
Yeah,
I can't imagine watching it like that now. It really was. It was just, how did we watch TV with quality like that? I really don't know.
We didn't know. We just didn't notice it.
I was watching one of my old Blake 7 cassettes quite recently, and it was. I got nostalgic. Yeah. Hear the machine sort of whirling away.
There is a Blu-ray release, I think. I can't remember. Where you can put like a VHS mode on it. You get like the tracking and the.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
One of the Doctor Who DVDs.
Well, you have the BBC globe spinning in the beginning before it starts and stuff like
Happy
that.
days. Happy days.
And I was sitting there. I was pure bliss when I was.
I mean, let's be honest. Wouldn't you rather have a globe spinning than some bird watchers doing this across a?
Definitely.
Yeah. But that signified who the BBC were of that day, wasn't it? They were a global organisation.
And there were a load of bird watchers.
Well, no, twitches, no disrespect to any twitches we got.
But
No.
staring at navels instead of birds, if you want to be more accurate, because they or just staring at Twitter, right? They should just be staring at their phone.
Yeah, this is one of the advantages, though, of the Blu-ray seasons coming out, because I was actually watching Keeper of Traken on DVD just the other day there to celebrate in my own little head the Keeper of Traken's 40th, and I had to keep taking my glasses on and off because the picture on the DVD is actually fuzzy. If you go and look at it, you think, oh, hang on.
I noticed some of them are fuzzier than others. I mean, I went straight from watching my season 19 box set to watching the standard DVD of the Arc of Infinity, and the drop off in quality was really noticeable. Yeah. Just going back to Target Books a moment, we've got it's the week of another new issue of Doctor Who magazine. Everybody, the official tome of Doctor Who. Officially licensed from Panini, of course, and we have the cover for this week's.
Hilarious.
Simon manages to bring out.
Here we are. It's another Simon. Remember the last one? And we said about this, they'd do another one. The way that sold, this is another Target Books special, they say. And this is on sale from February the 4th, which is this Thursday. It says exclusive interviews with the authors of the upcoming Target novelizations, along with a feature on the making of the season 24 Blu-ray trailer. Oh, we did that last week. But there's an exclusive Target book in there and a wall chart, which makes one's ears prick up, doesn't it? And they've even got a picture of the Target book at the top. But yeah, the Target book itself is actually called Doctor Who and the Library of Time. And the artwork is a composite of 3-4 of the artworks from the individual books. So I suspect it's a chapter or two of each of this new wave of books. Charlotte, are you excited for these new Target books? As we've talked about in the last couple of weeks. Are you a reader? Were you tempted by any of these?
See, weirdly, I read some of the BBC Doctor Who books when I was younger, but I've never read the Target stuff because I think, like I said, I'm not a massive merch person, so I might pick up some of them, but I'm not as excited. But I think I love the fact that Mark and some of the old writers are having another go at basically having, like, I think because Sherman's writing the Dalek one, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. That's right, yeah.
And I think it's interesting whenever a writer, years after the fact, comes back to something. So I do think that would be interesting just to see if there'd be any tweaks or slight little things they might add. Now it's been, like, how many years has it been since Dalek?
Oh, 15.
So he's had a lot of time with that story, maybe to sit in his head. So I think the Dalek one's probably the one that caught my eye out of the lot of them.
I'm very interested in reading that. Anything by the original author in particular, even Joy Wilkinson, she sort of counts, doesn't she? I think she writes hers in crayon, but other than that, I'm quite interested in anybody who can go back to a story that they put together originally and to reach into it and pull something else out. But yeah, my enthusiasm for these books, it's got a bit of a cut-off point because I do view it as a different product. But the wall chart interests me. I mean, if that could be some sort of chart with all of the classic artwork on there, Simon, or like we used to lay out on the floor, or the giant. Cool. Did you used to do that too, Rabbi? Lay all the book covers out?
No, unfortunately, I'm just a little bit too young for the Target range books. I will. My family were early adopters. We had one of the first VHS. Well, it was before VHS. We had Philips VCR. Right, so at a very young age, everything was on video, and for me to relive the episodes, I put on the tape rather than read the book. Had I been 5 years older, I would have needed to have revisited the episodes by reading. It would have forced me to learn to read. Unfortunately, I learned to read by 2000 AD instead. So my vocabulary is a lot less. I can go like butter, boot knife, things like that. I can't really long words. But yeah, that's really what happened because we had VHS really, really early. And so I didn't read. I didn't read the Target books.
Wow. They have been credited. I mean, how many people have we had on the podcast, Simon, who've come on and talked about the books, and it's been the same story, hasn't it? I learned to read either because of them or through them.
those two Target books really are they were a lifeline for people of fans of our age. It's as simple as that. They were absolutely. But I'm slightly irritated by this whole new revival of Target. I mean, like Vanessa's saying, every time you see the logo, you want to make the sign of the cross. It looks and that you've just shown on the front. What was it, the Library of Time or whatever? It looks so completely wrong. Trying to do a Chris Achilleos style cover with that logo. If you're going to go for Target and try to recreate the look, you've got to use the original logo for Doctor Who.
Well, they can't, can they?
No, I know, and this is the problem. And so it's a pointless exercise. So why bother? It's like we said before. Do something new. Stop trying to ride on the former success of Target and nail your colours to mast and come up with something new and original. Stop trying to rip off Chris Achilleos, because let's be honest, Chris has not. I'm assuming, unless I'm wrong, I'm assuming that Chris Achilleos has not done the artwork for these books. So stop trying to rip off his artwork and come up with something new, or go the full hog and put the old logo on like you should do. It's just
wait. They did put the old logo on all of them apart from the Jodie story, the Witchfinders. The old logo.
No, but I'm talking about the proper logo. I'm talking about the Bernard Lodge logo.
You mean the
not the John Pertwee logo. I'm talking about the proper logo they used to use on Target books. That's what they need to do.
They've obviously put that statement together, haven't they? That we have seen the last of that logo on the Target books. They made that very clear when they announced that the Witchfinders, was it? Is that the title of that story?
Yeah, that's the title.
Yeah.
I keep going to say the Witch Hunters or the Witch Seekers, but it's the Witchfinders. Oh, heavens above!
I just call it crap. That's what I just call it.
Yeah. So, I mean, as we said before, it's the ideal jumping off point. By the way, if you are jumping in at the Spacebook and Type 40 Live this time, please hit the like button while you're here. Throw us a like and subscribe to the channel, because we do this stuff. We do this sort of nonsense quite a lot, and you don't want to miss. In the danger that you're annoying that you're enjoying yourselves. Sorry. You don't want to miss it when it comes around again, do you? Yeah, so like, subscribe to the channel, and share along to your Whovian friends or your Lunatic friends, whichever you prefer.
Lunatic friends, yeah, there you go.
Lunatic friends. Talk about lunatic friends. We have some nice people out there who get in touch and send us bits and bobs, and the latest of which is Zoe Speshington, who was put this on Twitter, and she calls this the Yardis. And there's various lettering along the side there, and lots of sort of decorated Type 40 style.
Yeah.
And I was quite impressed by this. Obviously, it's a bit of a miserable day that somebody's on the drink already. I don't suppose you can blame them if they're locked down. But I thought this was rather good. After the shed that we had last week, we've got the Yardis this week.
That shed is clever. I like that shed last week. They're a bit optimistic with the sun umbrella, aren't they?
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking. Of course,
a bit of like pure hope.
The only problem is, of course, is if they know Barry Gibb and he gets wind of this, he'll be round there and he'll be off, won't he? Heaven knows
that couch in a second.
Heaven knows what carnage will be going on.
It's like they stole those pallets from Asda's or something, didn't they? There's pallets to make the chairs and the table.
I know the builder next door. They just said, "Hey, can I have some of those if you're chucking them free?"
Yeah.
It pretty much looks like
it's nice though.
It's a nice shot. How to make the most of one's environment. Speaking of one, we've got a right one waiting here to join us with just in time actually for some of the less controversial things we're going to talk about this afternoon. So just calling in from wherever he is. Welcome, Problem Being. Hello, Problem Being.
Oh, he's mute. He's mute. He's probably in the loo. Probably.
It's gone for. It's all the excitement of seeing the Yardis and thinking about Barry Gibb again. I know.
Yeah. The chat right there. Where'd he go?
We'll see if we can get him back. We'll see if we can get him back in a moment.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back.
In the meantime, now, of course, this is something else we've been doing every week. If you've been watching us every week, you'll have noticed this, because obviously speculation is rife at the moment in Doctor Who, isn't it? Speculation is rife because Jodie Whittaker is likely. She's leaving the role. I think we can say that's almost as set in stone as it could ever be. And as always, conversation is turning to who is going to succeed her in the role. And this week,
The rabbi's going to do it.
This has got to be. Yeah, we need a rabbi in the top.
Rabbi.
Listen, I would replace Chris Chibnall. Well, because I love Doctor Who, I wouldn't replace an actor. I would cast somebody.
Well, listen, representation matters, and we have not yet had a rabbi, have we?
That is
No,
true.
we haven't.
And
We
I
haven't.
feel very underrepresented.
Yep.
But fortunately, everybody at the BBC are massive anti-Semites, so it's okay.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Well, they were all very, very pro a massive anti-Semite in politics a year ago. So I know what to tell you. Maybe they got over being anti-Semitic now. I'm not sure.
What were you going to say, Dan, before you got interrupted?
Well, a saviour may be at hand. Now, Russell T Davies believes in this guy, so maybe we should too. What do you guys think to Ollie Alexander as the Doctor? What do you think of him?
Just give us a break.
Everywhere in the media this last week or so, this last 7 days. That's a very firm no, Simon. Have you watched
it? Very, very firm no. For goodness sakes, come on, let's stop messing about and just give a decent actor the role, can we please? Somebody with some gravitas, someone who can bring the weight that the role needs. Stop giving these lightweight actors. I'm sure Ollie Alexander is a smashing actor for the kind of roles that he does, but the Doctor is such a specific role. It requires talents that not many actors, not many people actually possess. And we've got to stop messing about and giving it to these, he might look good, he might be cool, he might be trendy, all that stuff, but no, we need somebody of the gravitas of Tom Baker, of Peter Capaldi. Come on, guys. Stop.
I haven't seen It's a Sin yet because, as you know, I've got a TV license, so I'll probably watch it at some point in the future. It's by Russell T Davies. I am going to watch it. I'll get the DVD or whatever.
It's on More 4. You can watch it on More 4. It's on all 5 are there.
Yeah, it's on all 4, isn't it? Now, I've heard that he's very charismatic in it. This is a man who, to be fair to him, has acted before, even though he's more famous as a pop star, as the lead singer of Years and Years. He has acted several times before. So, and he's around 30, 31, something like that, JT?
Yeah, let's put this in context as well. I mean, Russell has a new show to plug, which has been massively successful in its first weekend. The series itself is beautiful. It's absolutely insanely fantastic. And I would just like to say, because we're on the subject of It's a Sin, each and every single actor in that role, whether it be one of the infamous guest stars that Russell works with in all his shows, one of the cameos, or whether it be the incredibly talented leads, young leads in this show, but every single actor in this show is spot on superb. Now that's how you cast a show, because every one of them is amazing. If you have not seen this 5-part drama, you have to see it. It will take you, as Russell tends to do, from here to there to there to there to here again. It's an amazing emotional roller coaster. And what is come back is that both him and Barrowman said, "Oh, Ollie would be great for Doctor Who," just to get it in the press, just to get the fact that Ollie's leading one of the leads of It's a Sin. They never, it was just a publicity stunt of a magnitude that John Nathan Turner would have been loving every minute of. So that's what that's about. But he was good in the show. Ollie is good. All the actors are good. The production values are superb. Yeah, they are wonderful. But
you've been watching it. Have you been watching it, Rabbi?
No, I just downloaded it. I was actually going to try and watch the first episode tonight. But you know what? I find this kind of like a bit pernicious. There's this whole thing within, obviously, I think we all know there's somewhat of a bit of a cultural divide within the Western world, right? Now, one side of that divide, which has complete control over our media, they're very, very big into segregation, right? They're very big into we see on Star Trek Discovery, the black people have to be with the black people, the gay people have to be with the gay people. Mm-hmm. This strikes me as like Russell T Davies and John Barrowman saying, "Hey, I'm a gay. Let's get another gay because we're all getting this."
No, I disagree.
Am I right?
Maybe a great actor.
No.
Am I right in thinking as well that Russell T Davies has recently said that gay roles should be played by gay actors?
Yes,
he has.
He's beyond stupid for saying that.
I agree with you, Charlotte. I want, and to be totally clear about this, if anybody doesn't know, I'm gay. Actually, and it really annoys me.
I can
Are you?
And so no, because they're actors, Russell. This is what actors do.
Yeah.
They act. They actually are able to act. So it shouldn't always be straight actors that play straight roles. Gay actors that play. No.
Listen, we need to. It doesn't matter if the actor is gay or not. We just need to get someone that's good in the role.
I
get the impression that when Russell T Davies said that it may have been taken slightly out of context.
Yeah.
Okay,
because he did he did prefix it with saying
as Jeremy Thorpe, right? Hugh Grant straight, I believe.
Charlotte, did you actually see what he said then? Because are you able to put it in context? Because I would not want to quote him out of context.
That's what I thought he said. Maybe I've got the wrong end of the stick.
I got the wrong end of the stick as well.
What he was trying to get at in a very bad way, and he wasn't as articulate as he usually is. He was saying, really roundabout way, that he has cast certain gay actors in It's a Sin so they can relate more to the topic of gay men in the 80s being affected by the HIV. And
that makes sense.
They brought that sort of community vibe and understanding into the role. And it sort of mutated from that to the point where then he was quoted as saying, well, it should be, only gay men can play gay men. It's not really what he meant, and he wasn't as articulate as he possibly should be, because again, he was trying to publish the fact he had a new show about to be launched. And he was doing his publicity tours. And
is that what you think he was doing?
I think he was trying to justify, or not justify. I think he was trying to say, look, this is the element they've brought to understanding the characters that are actually well drawn out as we would expect, but go through hell. And if you're about to watch episode 3 of It's a Sin live on Friday on Channel 4, be prepared. Or if you've watched it already, fantastic. But episode 3 is a real hitter.
And it's 3 of 5.
I love everything Russell T Davies does. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, and I'm looking forward to say the vibe I got from that quote was I think it seemed to me he was talking just out of practicalities of casting. If you have a character who's specifically a gay character, and there's some shorthand to it, some body language that he specifically wanted, he wrote into the character. You can either have a fantastic straight actor learn it, or you can get a shortcut and you can get a gay actor who just kind of knows what he's talking. That was a vibe I got from what.
Yeah, but still, he did one of his breakout shows was
Queer as Folk.
What was it?
Queer as Folk, 1999.
Actors.
Yeah, but that's the point, Charlotte, as well. I mean, he got those 3 in there. I reckon he's just been slightly misinterpreted, and this is again tying in with the theme of this show. Cabbages and Kings and rumours and stuff like this, and we know from his experience he's not just going to cast type, and he's not just going to do all this saying,
Well, I think the thing is, what would be interesting is to actually find out if anybody can post somewhere so we can actually see the comment made in context. Because I would hate. I personally hate.
Let's see if Problem Being was on. Maybe he'll have some comments to.
I would like to just say one final thing on this. I did make a comment on Facebook about this over the weekend about I didn't think Ollie Alexander was right for the party, and I was immediately branded homophobic, which I thought was kind of a bit. I'm wearing that one with pride.
That's part of the. That's part of the.
I tried to argue the fact that no, there's a very good reason why I'm not actually homophobic, and I was told no, actually deep down you really hate gay people, don't you? I'm like, okay, I'm giving up. I'm out of here.
You should never have to announce
that. Yeah, it's true.
This is part of the problem that we're in now with all elements of this sort of stuff. And I can understand why Russell was sort of went down that route when he's asked a particular question by the magazine that interviewed him, to be able to say, well, because you're not going to win either way there. It's a difficult thing, but it's all done in context of the publicity of this huge show that's been a massive success.
Maybe he was quoted out of, like he was talking about his show.
It
was either the Guardian or the Observer.
Well, I know somebody who actually has got it to hand. So let's bring in our friend Problem Being here. Here he is.
Hello.
You're a mute, mate.
I've done it again. Oh, dear. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello, my diverse friends.
Good to speak to you. How are you?
I'm well. I'm very well.
So what can you tell us about this then? You've got the quote?
I have it here. What he said was, I'm not being woke about this, but I feel strongly that if I cast someone in a story, I am casting them to act as a lover or an enemy or someone on drugs or a criminal or a saint. They are not to act gay, because acting gay is a bunch of codes for a performance. It's about authenticity, the taste of 2020, he said. You wouldn't cast someone able-bodied and put them in a wheelchair. You wouldn't black someone up. Authenticity is leading us to joyous places. Now, you can say that he may have misspoken in the sense of this is a general rule for everybody, or you could read it as it works that way for him.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that a lot of other articles kind of presented it as that he only wants to cast that only gay people should play gay roles. And I think that was misleading. I think that's general rule of thumb with a lot of
it's called clickbait,
periodicals. It is clickbait.
There is heightened tension as regards.
I know there was a lot of backlash. Yeah, I mean there was a lot of backlash, and maybe that it is valid. Maybe it isn't, but I think that it is an interesting discussion. We know that we've seen this happen before with Batwoman, for example, where Kate Kane was cast as Batwoman because she was a lesbian.
Yep.
And then there was outcry that she wasn't lesbian enough. And then she left, and then they cast a bisexual woman, but it's okay because she's black. So,
hi, Chris.
It's this kind of nonsense, really, that we need to get away from before we get sucked into it. And I think that
there's a bit more to this. Actually, there is a bit more to this. I'm looking at it while we speak, and there's a little bit more. He goes on to say, I really think now, I genuinely think that casting gay as gay now is the right thing to do, but I also believe in casting gay as straight. So what he's basically saying is gay can play gay or straight, but straights cannot play gay. That's basically
that is wrong then, isn't it? That's ridiculous, because an actor is trained
and that
to
is being
be whatever they want to be.
He says it's not being woke, but it is.
Well, he goes on to justify. He goes on to justify thus, if we want to really put this in context, he says, I'll tell you why he can cast gay as straight. Because from the age of 8, we are pretending to be straight. It's the first thing we learn to do. I.e., we fake.
Well, I've said this before. Gay men have been playing straight for decades.
but that's why he's justifying that. Yeah, gay actors.
That is no justification. That is no justification.
No, it isn't.
It's a non-argument, and to make an issue out of it, you're playing into the hands of the identitarians, which is a tyranny. I find it's a tyrannical belief system.
And the thing is, he really doesn't need to. Because he created characters like Jack. He really doesn't need. That's what got me a bit. I was like, Russell, you don't need to play these games. You can create well-rounded, well-loved.
Do you need a murderer to play a murderer? Do you need a policeman to play a policeman? Where does it end?
To play somebody from Birmingham. I mean,
but you need a producer and a team that doesn't have any of this crappy politics and don't believe in it, and believe in stuff.
Ian, you've cast people. You've been directing and casting actors for 2 decades now.
Yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts about this? Would it alter the way that obviously when you cast Rebecca Gold, you cast a straight actress as a gay character, and you did get some backlash from that, didn't you? But how do you feel about what Russell said here in either context? Has this changed the way that you view it, or
I just think that look, what is it? Philadelphia Story had Tom Hanks playing a gay guy, and he brought the attention of AIDS more so with that Hollywood movie. Everybody. So look, you should cast the right person.
He played Gandhi.
That's right. Cast the right person for the job, regardless of their sexuality. That's what you have to. And also, if you're a producer, you should have that hat on and take politics away from the whole. Otherwise, you'll just go down the wrong road, and then you'll have people that go on social media and slag you off, and it'd be worse for you. So just do the right thing. Get off Twitter. Do the right thing. That's what I say. Yeah,
I do think Twitter has a lot of.
The thing is, there's no way of getting off it because.
Yes, there is.
No. The entertainment. No. There is a way of getting off Twitter, but they're in that world. They're in the entertainment
Yeah,
industry.
but you don't have to subscribe to that world.
You choose the society which you live in. The entertainment, entertainment industry is, it has.
It's the current zeitgeist. Whether you like it or not, and unfortunately, it's invaded the academic sphere with critical queer theory, and you've got critical race theory, all of these postmodernist ideas which have taken hold.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you have to look back to the 1920s to understand where we are at now, which is you have people who are turning 20 in 2020. You have people turning 20 back in 1920. And what happened in the 1920s? You had the Roaring Twenties. You had a rejection of the old. You had girls wearing short skirts for the first time, showing their legs in X amount of centuries. So it was really them trying to stake their own claim for their period of time, with us now out with the old, in with the new. Unfortunately, they've been hijacked by this ideology, by some crazy French philosophers from the 1960s who came up with all of this stuff. And it's a hoodwink. For me, I think it's more sort of an appeal to agnosticism, that people are kind of in a confused state of mind when you're young. So it's easy to fall into the trap of this sort of neurolinguistic programming, which is what happens in the academic sphere. So you've got a bunch of kids growing up, not really believing in anything, and having this subjective view of the world. And you can't combat that with rationality. You can't. You can't, because they're so.
You need a big star in Hollywood that's just respected to come out and say this is Hollywood. And then one person comes out, and another person comes out, and another person comes out, and that's how you destroy this.
Yeah, but this is entrenched. If it's coming out from, if it's coming from someone like you or me or anyone who's over the age of 30, is not going to be listened to. They're not going to listen to you.
A big star. You need a big star in Hollywood to come out.
These kids are insane. They have no idea how stupid they are. They have no idea how little they know, and they are so belligerent with their worldview. They're like I'm going to talk about it on my live stream later. That I had this back and forth with the guy who was commenting on one of my videos. Like, just couldn't conceptualize a reality where the talents of Wang Chiang wasn't racist. Right? Just couldn't conceptualize it. It was like, no, because A equals B equals C. If this person is not of that race, playing that race, there's no exception.
The irony of postmodernism is it's meant to be non-absolutist. It's meant to be non-essentialist, but they have taken it
all of that
very literally and very essentially and very absolutely.
And very stupidly. Normally, I mean, the bottom line is...
Yeah, I mean, there's no critical in it whatsoever.
Well, I don't think... No, obviously, this is something that is still ongoing, isn't it? I don't think Russell T Davies claims to have all the answers any more than any of us can, wherever we're coming from. Either...
Well, James Dreyfus was excised from Big Finish for being gender critical. Came out against Russell T Davies for what he said, he pretty much James Dreyfus is a gay man, gay actor, and he was absolutely dead set against it.
He pretty much echoed exactly what Simon has said, what several of us on the panel, what our gut feel. I think a lot of us feel that
there's 3 gay guys on this panel now, and we're agreeing that this is not right.
Yeah, and to be honest, it makes me just very, very uncomfortable as a gay person that somehow we've got Russell T Davies looking out for us because we need help. We need to, gay people. We've got to look after gay people. They should be. No, I don't want that. Stop that.
Yeah, when I sought help,
don't speak for me as a gay person, Russell.
Yeah, exactly. When I sought help from my community, inverted commas, back in the 90s when I faced homelessness, I didn't fit 3 boxes. I wasn't trans. I wasn't on drugs. And I wasn't HIV, so I could go fuck myself, basically. I was refused help. So when I needed help from my community, it wasn't there.
Yourself, Like, honestly, I mean, getting HIV may be a step too far. But listen, you could have done the drugs thing.
I had done the thing, but you know.
obviously, these are complex issues, and we'll probably return to the subject at some point in the following weeks. I'm always interested in whatever Russell T Davies has to say, just the same as I'm interested in whichever project that he's working on, whatever he's producing on. Whatever we're going to watch, I will watch pretty much. At the moment, I will still watch anything that he makes, and I will listen to anything that he's got to say. But it's been the first time where I've listened. Well, I say listened, I've read, because I haven't actually heard him say these things, and wondered where he was coming from, and tried to challenge myself to see the other side to it and all the rest of it. So yeah, I appreciate all your insights, ladies and gentlemen, about this. And if you've got some comments, let us know in the comment section what you think about this topic, how it affects you, whether you're gay or straight. Maybe you work in the industry, maybe you're an actor or not. You know, we know several actors. Obviously, Barnaby Jago's an actor. We know several performers in our community. Let us know what you think about that. Does it matter to you? Has it ever affected you in being cast, or if you've been casting people, whatever your experiences are? You know, you can tell us in confidence. We're genuinely interested. One last comment here before we get on to our other subject. It's from Kip Ellis. Ollie would play the Doctor for years and years.
Absolutely.
I'll get my coat.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, he did a really, really nice cover of "It's a Sin."
It's awful. What are you talking about?
I liked it.
It's rubbish. It's rubbish.
It's not. Listen, no one can touch the original.
Fight.
Nobody. But I liked it.
Yeah. I was just like, please pass me that stick bag.
If you are enjoying this live stream, even though we've got a little bit more serious than we usually do, and there is
that was a bit depthful there. Let's get back to the rumours, for God's sake.
They're things that are worth talking about.
What happens when you invite me on?
Yeah. If you'd like to hear and see more, there's an entire first season of Type 40 Live waiting for you on the Spacebook channel. It's all in a playlist. We've got those original 10 live streams here, lots of different topics for all occasions, lots of Doctor Who chit-chat. Some of it, as the weeks rolled on, we were completely wrong about. Whereas there were some things we were bang on about, and other things that are very much ongoing. We've got lots of fantastic guests, people that have joined us on this channel from YouTube, from podcasting, and even from the world of Doctor Who, or the worlds of Doctor Who themselves. So go and check those out. And while you're there, if you're into your science fiction, your Blake 7 science fiction specifically, look out for the Teleport Doctor Who podcast. That's a Doctor Who podcast. Yay. The Teleport Blake 7 podcast. 4 episodes up at the moment. A 5th one due in a matter of days. So a vintage British science fiction discussed in depth and with good humour, with lots of different people from across geekdom. More on the way of that, I promise you, as well as the Type 40 podcast.
Dan, I don't know how you do it. I really don't know how you do it. Put
do you know
all that information out.
Do you know what I heard, by the way? Do you know what I've heard? I've heard the Mara's coming back.
Who?
I've heard the Mara's coming back.
Don't touch anything. Just like
as a male.
Yeah, it's not sticking. Actually, I didn't. I just made a lie up there. That's a lie. So let's talk about rumours.
Well, I haven't heard that the Mara's coming back, but I have heard that the spirit of an old Doctor Who villain may indeed be returning. This one in particular.
Please.
Let's face it, we need Mr. Michael Grade at this time. Someone with gumption who can look at it and say, get that off the channel.
All is forgiven.
Yeah, he was right.
At one point, this was the face of the enemy. This was the man who made our lives a misery, really, for a couple of years, as then the controller of BBC One, wasn't he? He was the guy who, let's face it, never mind hiatus, he actually axed Doctor Who back in 1985. No matter what you've heard, the show was axed. It was gone at the behest of Michael Grade. He thought it was old-fashioned, cheap, and seen better days and couldn't compete. And I was heartbroken at the time. He may have been onto something, but yeah, he's never really lived it down, has he? And although we are all kind of friends now,
he was right though, wasn't he? Let's face it.
Well, he had a point, but that's not really where I want to go at the moment.
He had a point, and do you know where it started? He was on Room 101 years ago, remember? Yeah, and where it started was he was in his office at the BBC one evening. and Warriors of the Deep was being shown, and he saw the Merker, and he's let this know, and he looked at it and he went, "What the hell is that on my channel?" That's where it started. That's where it started.
That will do it. Yeah, that makes total sense.
I've never got that.
That makes complete sense. That in the way it went on.
Imagine if you'd seen The Awakening or Resurrection of the Daleks. It might have actually saw the Merker and wanted to know what it was.
I mean, without labouring this point too much, I mean, that was a very unfortunate piece of that season to catch, considering the rest of it was of considerably higher standard. So I think he's always been a little disingenuous about that. If you want to take the very, very lows of that particular season. But yeah, that's a whole other subject. But at the moment, there's a reason why some of us older fans are getting that sense of deja vu, that everything comes around just in the same way that have leg warmers come back, have mullets come back. Lots of things from the 80s have come back, though. And I hate to say it, but the Axeman may well be looming, because the rumours...
Isn't it interesting, though? Like, bad doctor... Bad coat facing the axe.
It could well be. Now, let's acknowledge a couple of things. If this is your first time on the channel, you may not be aware of this, but over the last few weeks, we've talked a little bit about this subject, specifically since Jodie Whittaker was speculated as leaving. And there are several people on the panel now, and other people who aren't with us this afternoon, who work in the entertainment industry, who have done for numerous decades, and who... this isn't us flexing, people who know people. And that doesn't mean that any of us have all the answers, does it, guys? But it does mean, but it's up to you to be aware of us and who we are, where our experience comes from, judged by the fact that there are some of us who've been in publishing, who've been in television, who've been in film for 10, 20, 25 years. And you judge for yourself whether you think we're talking bollocks or not. We offer our opinions with generosity, with the best of intent, and because we care about Doctor Who, don't we? It really is that simple. Now, this week I've been watching. I'm watching The Crown, and I'm midway through season 2 at the moment. And I happened upon the 5th episode last night. It's an episode called Marionettes. And if anybody is, I don't know if anybody knows this show, and you may think, where's Dan going with this? But this episode of The Crown, it really hit me, because this show, it's got a bit of reputation as being a bit soapy. I don't view it as a soap at all. But this particular episode, it was about the dawn of the Queen's speech and how that came into being, about a man called Lord Altrincham, and how he appeared in the media criticising the royal family, and how the royal family took that criticism on board or not, how the court at Buckingham Palace took that on board. And I found that really, really interesting. Comparing that, obviously this is something that happened in 1957, compared to the way that people receive criticism now, both publicly and privately. So I'd suggest that if you're out there and you're following what people are calling the culture war, and seeing quotes from people like Lucasfilm, people like the BBC, and the way they relate to their fandoms and their audience at the moment, go back and take a look at that. Episode 5 of The Crown. Even if you're not interested in the royal family, if you're interested in the media, I think it's a really important thing to take a look at. But as regards Doctor Who, this story's been going on now for 2 or 3 months, hasn't it? So back on the 3rd of January, I've written this down actually, Nicola Methvlin at the Daily Mirror broke the story, this is nearly a month ago, that Jodie Whittaker was going to leave. And that immediately set off, well, let's face it, a lot of people made a lot of us very happy, didn't it? And even people who have enjoyed the era, sort of jumped on it really, and amazingly, we're very, very happy about it. Within a few hours, Digital Spy were right on that, as were the Radio Times. They were pressing the BBC for further information. They were given the following statement: "We won't be commenting on any speculation regarding Jodie Whittaker's future on the show." That's the only statement that's been given so far. And yet, as we may remember, there were similar rumours last year, weren't there? And those were immediately dismissed. They were, weren't they, Rabbi? I'm not remembering that falsely. Previous rumours were immediately cut down.
Yeah. I mean, it seems pretty certain. I mean, I don't know why they haven't confirmed it as yet. I mean, I don't know who, like maybe they want to do a surprise regeneration, but what's the surprise? But we're not sticking with this rumor, right? We're moving on to like the new
We
rumor.
are moving on, yeah, because that's not where it rested. I mean, last week we did have a thing where the Sun published an article which contradicted that, which claimed that Jodie Whittaker was definitely staying, but it was retracted and removed from their website within a matter of hours. That was gone.
It's funny, isn't it? Like, you know, the Jodie fans. It's the first time I think that they've ever taken a right-wing newspaper seriously and actually believed it.
I hadn't thought that, but he's right. So we've got that thing going on with the Sun. And as things have gone on, now numerous people here, as I was saying before, several of us used to work, do work, or have connections in the media. And we've said on screen, haven't we? I think JT, Simon, numerous people here have said that we've heard whispers, haven't we? That the series is facing resting / cancellation. Nobody noticed that we said these things because obviously we're quite a small channel compared to others. But we did talk about this, didn't we?
I did. I noticed.
Let's just. I'd like to just clarify that as well, because I remember saying that on the first of this series that we're doing now, early in January. I did actually say that I thought the only way that they could actually get themselves out of the hole they've got themselves into with Doctor Who was to cancel the show. I hadn't heard any whispers about that. I just want to clarify that it was just a theory of mine to be able to say I think it wouldn't surprise me if this show goes now, because they've got themselves into this bog of all sorts of nonsense, and you can't necessarily, as we were saying back at the beginning of January, if you now cast a 14th Doctor and it's male, you're going to get backlash. If you're going to cast another woman, it's still going to go downhill and you're going to get backlash. The easiest way out of this, get rid of the show. So I just want to clarify that I hadn't heard anything. It was just an opinion.
They won't. The reason why they won't is because that would admit failure with the casting of Jodie Whittaker. I think that it would be for them.
I'm not sure. Problem being because you can do what they did in the 80s and say, well, it's not as popular as it was. It's looking a bit tired. The CGI effects aren't that good. Yeah, the viewing figures have gone down.
Well, according to the BBC, it's still up there and it's still appreciated by loads of people, and they lie about the people voting for the new Doctor and all that. So, it seems like the BBC's still defending it. They will do
until
the end of this year when they've got 5 episodes, 6 episodes, whatever it is to plug.
There's the Doctor Who Twitter. There's a Doctor Who. Sorry, there's the Doctor Who Twitter.
I want to hear what Simon's got to say.
Sorry.
No, all I was going to say was, I think what they'll do, they won't cancel it. They just won't do another series. They will never be so controversial as to say we're cancelling Doctor Who. They're not doing Michael Gray. They just won't renew it. It just won't. It will take a rest.
That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah, and certainly, Dan, you and I were saying this literally a year ago when we were coming on doing the podcasts of the reviews of Jodie's, season 12? I lose track now, series 12.
Yeah, season 12.
Thanks, Charlotte. And so we were saying that then we were saying we think it will be rested after this bit for the same reasons that JT has just said. They can't cast a male in the part because it will be mission of failure. And no, but problem being is also correct in that I don't think they'll cancel it because again it will be an admission of failure. So it'll just disappear. And let's be perfectly honest. Let's be brutally honest. At this moment in time, the general public will not even notice that it's not coming back. It will just fade away.
We will.
Nobody will notice.
We won't. No, we won't. I mean, if they let it go quietly, it's the most sensible thing that the BBC right now could possibly do. And it should be. They don't have to announce it. Fans will notice, and will.
Yes, I'm saying we will.
But not many of us will care.
Because when
I know. There's a load of YouTubers that will make money out of them not coming back.
Listen, we got through 15 years of it before. We can get through another set, even if it's just until 2023, which the BBC will be looking at to say, at the moment, we do not have a product that's going to be able to be sold at its 60th anniversary.
In preparing this live stream, I've thought to myself, to break it down into sort of five questions, and the first of which is, why would they rest / cancel it? And I think everybody's pretty much been in unanimous agreement because the show is looking tired, because the fan base is divided, deserted, leaving all the time.
That's not a reason that they would rest it. I
know, but that's what I'm getting around to. But and then you look at the mainstream audience. and that, you've got a graphic that demonstrates that perfectly, haven't you, Rabbi? The ratings have fallen off a
None
cliff
of that matters.
percentage-wise.
None of that matters.
No,
right.
not that.
What do you
I
think,
don't
Rabbi?
It's audience fail. Look, it's failing with the audience. I don't think it matters because they're sticking with it. What I do think matters is money, and I think it's completely dependent on them continuing their co-sponsorship with HBO Max and this Chinese media company. And I would be very surprised if by the time we get to the end of this year, with everything that's going on in the States, if there is HBO Max is in the position to if it's solvent, if it's in the position to to become a partner. That thing, it's critical failure. It doesn't matter. It's commercial failure. It doesn't matter. It's audience failure. It doesn't matter. Because if any of that did matter, it would have mattered already. Yeah.
Well, now you've mentioned China. I want to bring this in now because obviously, I mean, the fact is there are a lot of rumors out there, and as soon as there are rumors put out and they start to gather pace, people immediately sort of move to counteract them with what they believe that they know. And and one thing that we hear a lot from various sections of the fandom, particularly those who are really, really entrenched in and invested in the present era, and particularly because of the politics rather than the story, and can't seem to see past the fact that they've cast a female Doctor. We hear, oh, but what about China? What about HBO? You think, well, okay, well, what about them? I've gone right back to the source of all of this here, so I'm about to put it up on screen. Let's
I still don't know what the deal is that they made with China. I'd love to see the details of that.
This is it. What I've got here is the article. So here we are. This is Doctor Who gets brand boost in China from back on the 25th of May, 2017. So this was before Jodie Whittaker was even cast. There was this published. Well, this is from the BBC Media Centre. This is literally from the horse's mouth. But there are several instances, several places you can go to read all this in plain English. But yeah, if you scroll down, because people have assumed because of this deal, the myth has become that because of the China deal, Doctor Who is safe until a potential series 15. But when you actually trace it back to the source, the nearly 4 years now I've been back and looked at this, that's not actually what they say. It says the deal not only covers showrunners Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat's series from 1 to 10, but also incoming Chris Chibnall's yet to film series 11, as well as a first look at series 12 to 15. A first look. Yeah. That's very, very important. Now, this is the BBC Media Centre. This isn't even BBC Entertainment. It's certainly not the Radio Times. There's nothing tabloidy about this. This is an official press release that will have been through the entire legal department of the BBC, checking every single word. But if we look at why China got involved with this, it wasn't because they thought the show was particularly good or particularly bad. It was a cultural thing. It says this marks the start of a longer and even more fruitful partnership with SMGP, which was... This is SMGP Pictures, which is based in China, I believe.
And don't forget, all corporations in China are effectively under the control of the Chinese Communist Party.
Well, it says here that China is going through, well, at the time in 2017, China is going through a time of tremendous growth and rapid market development. Everybody is curious about cultures from all around the world. At the same time, they want their share of Chinese culture and values. Nothing unreasonable with that. But Doctor Who, with its long television history, an iconic place in popular culture, is a great representative of British popular culture, and we hope the partnership with BBC Worldwide, blah de blah, a fair exchange of ideas and growth of the universe of Doctor Who in China. So it's a brand orientated thing. The important thing to me, I keep looking back at this. First look is not the same as bankrolling an additional 4 seasons of the show.
Yeah,
so that's not a co-production deal. It's not a co-production deal. It's a brand, because what they got there is, as you say, Dan, and what we've just read, they got the first look. They can say no at any time to taking it. They've got Torchwood. They got the Sarah Jane Adventures. They got K9 and Company. They got all the spin-offs, as it were. They got these things, but that's it. And it look at Netflix. Netflix would have got a very similar thing to say, here's all the series. And they've eventually turned around and said in the UK, well, we don't want it now. Thank you very much. It's not a guarantee. It's not a co-production deal like it would have been with Canada or Australia or whatever. It's just, here's the episodes. Have it.
You'll get what you'll get when and if we make it. That's what it says to me. It's no obligation to produce to fill the schedule. Their obligation remains to the license fee payer, to their own charter.
Absolutely.
And it's what people are watching in the UK. So I think that really takes the China completely off the table.
How is that deal with China different or similar to the one with HBO?
It's funny you should say that. if we take another look, I've also been and looked at the HBO deal, because obviously that's the first thing that people go to. What about China? And when you sort of introduce some grey areas there, because I think you can see and read that there are lots of grey areas. And the reason I've gone back to these articles is because I knew that if I summarised it in any way, people would say, Dan's reading into this. Dan's got it wrong. He wants to believe in all this. So yeah, I've been back to the HBO deal. Now, this was a little harder to get back to the original article, but I have got it. So here we are.
Do you know that Chinese deal actually reminds me of back of the original one with France. That BBC Enterprises put together between the BBC and France for Doctor Who. They did a brand thing as well. I remember somebody telling me about it. And eventually the French went, no, it didn't work.
And it's not a thing. It's not the thing like with the Space Channel in Canada, or it's not, and it's certainly not a BBC America co-production. This is just a deal to carry the show. If they make it, American shows get axed all the time and if they continue to want it, So this is not concrete. But here we are. Let's trace back the HBO deal. So this is comiccon.com. It says the BBC's HBO Max deal yields 2 additional seasons of Doctor Who. Now, this is the article that went into circulation that everybody leapt on, including me. Right. And I took this as gospel truth. I mean, the people who are enjoying the present era, God bless you if you're enjoying the present era. We're pleased for you. That's not really what this is about. This isn't about opinion. This is now about us trying to get
Horlicks and lie down. Yeah,
trying to get the closest that we can to fact. So we'll trace these things back, and it says, well, the big news from HBO Max's Tuesday presentation is the Green Lantern series. There is a deal with the BBC and HBO Max to make 11 seasons of the revived Doctor Who show available at the launch, with an additional 3 seasons to come.
There you go.
And then it mentions this on Comic Con, but of course there's no actual quote there. And I've highlighted here. The marquee thing here is the confirmation that the BBC is committed to at least 2 more seasons of Doctor Who after 2020. So, I mean, I would argue we're going to find out that this may not be the case either. But when you look at that, think, okay, well, it's 2021 already. Nobody saw the pandemic.
Yes, that's changed everything.
This is about the passage of time, not necessarily the amount of content. This is about time periods. So they've lent into that and saw that as confirmation, and as confirmation that they're definitely going to be.
And all this ties in with
2 seasons.
All this ties in with what Chibnall said about his 5-year plan as well.
Yeah, but 5-year plans from somebody like Chris Chibnall, who happens to be the current custodian of a British television legend, can go down the tubes, as we know, because it's happened before. So a 5-year plan from whoever's running the thing has no merit whatsoever.
I think the HBO thing, I think the HBO and the money possibly drying up, because I watched Gary's stream, who was the guy who broke this sort of new circulation of cancellation possible rumor. And I don't know if this is what his source told him, but in that stream he said HBO are not paying beyond series 13.
Well, it certainly ties up, because when you trace this back, I did trace Comic Con, they linked back to this original announcement over on Deadline. So this is where I got I was the original source of the article. Yes, this is where it was broke on Deadline, and it pretty much takes us through what we already know: the 11 seasons of the sci-fi fan favorite, including the video on demand premiere of series 11 as part of a deal. The streamer will be the exclusive video SVOD, that's video on demand, streaming video on demand, home for future seasons after they air on BBC America, specifically after they air on BBC America. So this HBO, it's nothing more than an eventual resting place. The way that people that CW shows, they go to Netflix, don't they? And then I think they go on to HBO Max after that, after several years. But this is, again, there is not a word in this about an amount of content. So
you also have to bear in mind as well that Netflix had Doctor Who for a number of years, and that's the biggest by far service, right, from streaming service. HBO is tiny in comparison, so this is nothing huge. This is a massive step down.
This is all stuff.
They got a ton of money from it.
They will make the BBC studios will make money from any deal.
Let's just clarify that this was put out over 2 years. This is August the 1st, 2019. So 2 and a bit years after that China arrangement, that branding, that licensing arrangement. 2 years later, a whole different kettle of fish entirely for different reasons, for a different platform, different territory, for totally different reasons, a different commodity entirely from what I can see. So as far as I'm concerned, both HBO and China are nowhere in this equation. Am I being naive? What do you think, Ian?
Don't ask me, mate. I have no idea. All I do know is that this doesn't work. The whole show doesn't work, and it should be taken off. That's all I know.
The whole thing about this is there is an element here of history possibly repeating, because Doctor Who was still sold worldwide in 1989, even though it had been reduced to 14 25-minute episodes. It was massive for the BBC Enterprises, as BBC Studios was back then, and they were doing deals. John was flying himself and the cast all around the world, especially to America, to make it what it is today. That fan base was there. It was established due to their work in the late 80s and the 90s. Exactly. So it's nothing new. And the show came off then. And we have to remember, this is a BBC production. There is a license fee payers money. There are less license fee payers today than there were this time last year in the United Kingdom. And if the BBC say, we don't want to produce something, they don't produce it. And business deals have changed because of what happened with the pandemic. They are still changing on a daily. It's just a deal. There will be clauses there to say that any deal can end at any time from either side. Right. It's business.
Yeah.
Well, I know people. I know.
Just that article we looked at, one of the other things they spoke about was
what is that picture all about? Should be a little black girl. What are you talking about? What's going on?
What's the Green Lantern series? Right? You remember that article that just said they got Doctor Who and the Green Lantern series. Just because they say they got it doesn't mean it's going to happen. You're
right. You're absolutely right. Because I know friends that have huge articles in Variety and stuff like that. They're making this film, they're making that film, and in 5 years down the line, they've made nothing. So reporting those absolutely great magazines doesn't mean anything.
But that's the nature.
And the thing is, JT's absolutely spot on. Any contract like this any production deal that you enter into, should always have a get out clause for both sides. That you're not necessarily committed to any. And if you're not, if the BBC haven't got some sort of get out clause in that, and likewise, if HBO, China, whoever it is, haven't got a get out clause from their side, then they've got the wrong solicitors. And I don't think that's going to be the case with the BBC. They will have the right solicitors on this.
So you're not seeing any obstacles to them taking the show off then, Simon. What do you think?
None whatsoever. There will be some. Who knows, because we haven't seen the contract, but my best guess would be that there will be some get out clause in there that would allow them to take the show off.
If you're not producing the show, you can't sell it. Although the BBC, of course, do manage with Doctor Who, but it's part of the package, isn't it?
But presumably the argument against it would be that if the BBC have signed some contract that contractually obliges them to make the show but I just can't imagine the BBC doing that and not having some clause in there that says,
I'm sure
let's have a look.
I want to hear what the rabbi's got to say about this, because I know he's got to go in a moment.
Yeah, I have to go. Firstly, I have the stream starting in 40 minutes, so I guess I'll be talking about this there as well. But and it's the I can't remember what I was trying to butt in on now, so I can't.
What's your problem being?
Well, I'd just like to make a point before I forget as well. Everybody's forgetting about Top Gear. Now, Top Gear is no longer produced at this current time. It is on a hiatus, to use our famous in-word. It is on a hiatus at this time. And that has had massive deals all over the world. It was the BBC's top-selling show. It outsold Doctor Who. Fact. And you know, hello, same situation. They would have had the same sort of thing entitled there.
Yeah, I think the BBC is very stupid. I think, listen, this is what they should really do. Admit the show doesn't work, cancel it. But
they might have done that, and we don't know. They might have done that.
Maybe. I hope so. I really do.
We'll know by this time next year.
What I find absolutely amazing through all of this, the one thing that strikes me through all of this is we're now up to season 13. Now, to put that in context with the original series, that means we're just at Tom's absolute heights with Pyramids of Mars, The Seeds of Doom, etc. And it took the original run of Doctor Who about 25 years to get to this point where it was really beginning to go past its best and the public were bored with it. And New Who has taken 12 years, well, even less. You can argue at what point it ran out of interest for the public, but certainly a maximum of 12 years. Now, as I say, 12 years into the original run, it was Tom at his height. It was Genesis of the Daleks. It was the Talons of Wen Chiang. What did they do wrong? Where has New Who gone wrong? How could they do it so spectacularly wrong?
I think I can actually weigh in on that. Basically, when they cancelled Sylvester McCoy's run, it was because it was badly made. It was badly shot. It was badly made. Don't know about the stories because I wasn't. And when they cancelled, now they're thinking of cancelling it. It's because of the same thing. Peter Capaldi's. The normies will watch Doctor Who, right? But subconsciously they'll register all that woke stuff, but they wouldn't connect it. And suddenly they're not watching it.
No, I think the British public are connecting it.
Well, now they are.
Yes, they are now, because they're now not stupid. And thanks to last year's efforts in the United Kingdom, we're all aware of everything going on.
Yeah, and that's the whole point that I'm making, that it took the original run 26 years to fall out for the public, to fall out of love with it.
Well,
and it's taken 12 years for the new show to
generationally, I think, because everyone's on their phones nowadays, attention spans are very limited. Back in our day, back when we were younger, we were watching stuff that was much more intelligently written, I'd say, much more engaging. There was obviously a lot less choice as well, which I think makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
But I think the main thing was that they didn't have this showrunner mentality like we have today, and I think that is a big problem. I think you should go back to a producer, and a script editor, and get rid of the Americanized system.
Absolutely.
Doctor Who is fundamentally a British show, and it should be run like a British show. And I think that's what makes it liked and adored.
Well, it is. It's being ran into the ground. It's like every great British institution is being destroyed slowly by idiots managing it.
Because it's a tyranny. It's run by a godlike figure. Well, I mean, they think they are, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work the same way an American show works. It just simply doesn't. And I think that we shouldn't be pandering to the American style, trying to think that we can kid ourselves, that we can compete.
Well, out of interest, I mean, I think you're right. Out of interest, I mean, Charlotte, what do you think? Bless you, you are the youngest of all of us here. We're a load of old dinosaurs going on about how it was back in our day.
Yourself now.
You know, as the youngest person here, what do you think?
I think the problem was with the new run. They became more enamored with gimmicks, like a lot earlier on, because if you think about, even though Tennant was brilliant for public face and exposure, I think that started a bit of it's now cool, it's now in the in crowd. And as soon as you start to get into that, then other stuff you maybe wouldn't have thought about starts to creep in. Because it was a big public show then. It gone from a little like geeky clique sort of show that only a smaller group knew about to now everybody knew about Doctor Who. And I honestly think a lot of the stuff now with cancellation, I think it's quite a few factors myself. I think it's marketing in general. I think the way that they had so much merch when she started, so much confidence, and it's just gone down and down and down. She can't carry her own merch. She has to be paired off with Tennant now. And for me, that's the ultimate sign.
Here's something. Sorry, Charlotte. Finish your point.
Yeah, and I think as well, even though I've sort of been realizing this the last like couple months, I think it's this canon obsession, because Moffat started it, even though he did have his good points. Vanessa, I know you love him, and I love him for Matt. He had his good points, but I think he was the start of this obsession with we have to go into canon. We have to talk about the Doctor's past. We have to reveal stuff about the Doctor.
It's really just about
and like, I'm watching Classic now. Yeah. I'm watching Classic now, and that's the massive difference I'm noticing.
Yeah.
That the Doctor's not the focal point.
Can I just interrupt? I'm going to have to like just wave and say goodbye to everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Join my stream in 30 minutes if you finish by then. I doubt you go. Oh yeah, there you go. That's my my now.
Yeah, go.
Apparently the Doctor this week I got another article saying it's definitely him, 100% him. Captain Jack tells a story about how he was told to get back in the closet. How are you going to put John Barrowman in the closet?
There's no way that's going to happen, is there, Robert?
Alden Ehrenreich is apparently returning to Han Solo, and John Boyega talks about his life on the Disney plantation, which is pretty much as they say. Fine, yes, that's the run.
Unmissable. Rabbi, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have your insight, your wisdom, as always. Don't miss the Rabbi stream coming up a little bit later on. Don't miss that. And just as the Rabbi leaves us, we're gonna materialize somebody else beaming in from the traveling TARDIS. If you catch it bouncing around all over the vortex, he's joining us for a little while now. It's Christian Basil himself here. Hello, Christian. How are you?
I just noticed for this show and this show only, anytime the Rabbi is here, I'm not, and when I'm here, the Rabbi's not. So
you're both the same person.
The truth. The truth.
I put the wig on, put the shower curtain on, and I'm the Rabbi now.
Can I just go back to what Charlotte was saying, because you touched upon a point that I wanted to make. My head went off in a different direction, but going back to the classic series as well. Two things. The serialization of stories made it interesting long enough and developed the story long enough, right? An hour isn't long enough to develop those characters and keep it interesting. The second thing as well is that the classic series constantly innovated, came up with new villains, new monsters, new stories, and themes, different themes for those serials. And I think that's missing. I think it's not developed, it's not really pushing forward. It keeps, as you're saying, being too self-referential and looking too much backwards rather than forwards. I'd like to see more new innovations, really.
Yep. You both, mate.
But everything that you've all mentioned holds a lot of water, and I think that we are seeing a show which has become, obviously the ratings do kind of speak for themselves. That momentum, that week by week drop off. Yes, the ratings for New Year's Day just gone were more than a lot expected. It was pretty much what I expected, to be honest, but it was still it was still a reasonable drop from last year's special. It's always a drop. And what would the figure have been like had the show been coming back for another full run of 10? If it had been back on January the 8th, would they have made good on that figure from New Year's Day? I personally don't believe that they would. But before we get too deep into that, I want to just play this clip, because with this landscape being undoubtedly where we are now, and this is regardless of any of our opinion. Yeah, there aren't many Jodie Whittaker fans here on the panel today. We do have some on sometimes. We may be a bit of an echo chamber, but we are willing to hear your arguments for the case too. That being said, this is a practical reason. This is actually happening now. This series is undoubtedly in trouble, and we'd heard various bits and bobs, various whispers, various inclinations that we'd had. And just at this weekend, as Charlotte mentioned, Gary Beaker on the Nerdrotic channel, he ran with a rumour that he'd heard. Now, Gary's been on the channel. If you're out there watching Gary, hello, but he was on our very, very first live stream. So, hi, Gary. And I'm going to switch you over now to a clip from Gary's live stream. Rather than me try and quote him, this is what Gary said, I think it was around 6 days ago, over on Nerdrotic. So,
Had a conversation with my insider. I've got two big rumors, big big rumors from my Doctor Who insider. Jodie, for one, I passed on a rumor, because I don't report the news, that Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall will be leaving after the season. I still stand by that rumor, but a lot has changed since then, but I still absolutely stand by it, and so does my insider, by the way. So we know that Jodie is not official, but it's been heavily rumored that she's leaving. So my insider does not work inside the BBC. I've said that before. Somewhat associated, maybe. We'll just leave it at that. I've known this person for over a decade now. He told me that cancellation is on the table.
Yes. So, Gary's, that's the man from the man's mouth. Gary's insider, of course, had all the information about JT. Doesn't look very impressed. Gary's insider had the information, as we did, as Simon and myself had heard, several other people had heard, about the future of the Jadoon episode, about the plot of the Timeless Children, about the pre-Hartnell Doctors. All that turned out to be true. Gary is somebody with a proven track record in his insider's information being right. Not infallible, but being right. Now, obviously, so Gary hearing this and taking it to air, because he, I don't think he goes to air with things immediately as he hears them. So Gary having the confidence to speak of this publicly, to put that out on his live stream, means that he must be even more inclined to believe the person that he's, as he said there, he's known this person for over 10 years. Now, I know that you'd heard things, hadn't you, Ian? Yep. I'd heard things. JT was sort of coming at it from a different angle, and Simon as well, from being a TV industry insider. So this is kind of the dust settling, where in the direction that the only direction we felt that it could possibly point in, really, apart from that massive what would you call it, wind back from the BBC of what they've done over the last 3 years, which all of us have accepted. The BBC just don't do that. So yeah, thank you for that, Gary, if you're out there watching. But this was picked up by various places. So it has been reported elsewhere since. It's just a few of the places that you can see that. There's Nerdrotic, the Rabbi from Another Planet. He's made 2 or 3 videos on it. Mr. H Reviews, who I don't actually know. Same with Clownfish TV and John Trent at Bounding Into Comics. They've all ran with this story too. Various sorts of their own takes on this rumor, little things that they've heard. But the story is growing. Fandom is talking about it. They're talking about it on the forums as well. But Christian, I was wondering what your first thoughts are about this, listening to Gary there, hearing what we've been speaking about over the last hour or so. What do you think?
I think that if they cancel the series, I think they're too stubborn. They're going to go to the 14th Doctor. I think we're going to have a 14th Doctor in there. Because if they cancel the series, the people who have questions, or even the haters the Jodie haters and stuff, they're going to give them the ammunition to say it didn't work and we told you so. For whatever reason, this path that Chibnall has taken, that you've been so skirting, that you've been so promoting, that you've been so pushing out there, oh, well, you've canceled. Well, we told you so. It didn't work. But if we're going with the direction that the BBC is going in, I don't think they're going to cancel. I think they're going to push on to a 14th Doctor. They might put the show into a rest phase. Or the other concern is to do what they did quietly Wilderness Year, which means that, we have a 14th Doctor, we're going into it, but we're going to put it on hold for a year or two and then just never address it and come back to it. If the BBC is going to the way that I'm looking at it, it would kill them to put it on hold, or even to kill it.
I suppose it's one thing to wish to continue, but could they be arriving at a place very soon where, depending on the charter, depending on the license fee, depending on all the criteria, simply money and the audience share, they could be approaching a place where, even though they may want to cast that 14th, 15th Doctor and carry on, they may be at a point where they're not able to fiscally. Or what do you think, JT?
I think that is a very valid point. I always have said it's very difficult, Christian, for people outside of the United Kingdom to understand the BBC. The BBC does not operate like your channels. If a program is not being watched by the public, it has a responsibility to either fix it or get it off the air, because we as the public, well, those of us that have a license, pay for it. And there is a responsibility through the charter Dan's just managed. Doctor Who is out of favor right now, yet again, with the public. They won't look at anything else except the fact that it is out of favor with the British public. The current format, the current incumbent in the role, the current way of storytelling has been massively rejected. It is now a subject of derision again. It is held up as an example continually of how the BBC is going wrong. That is going to be embarrassing for most elements of the BBC, whether they like it or not. And as I've said before, the way they could do it is just not make a fuss of it, because they know what happened last time and they will always remember it, and they might just let it go. But they're not going to be concerned about fans, worldwide, global reaction. They'll just let it go, because they have to respond to the public first.
Well, JT, let me give two retorts in that. First of all, there's one thing that is going for Doctor Who as far as the finance. What's going on with HBO Max?
Well, we just covered that.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just joined up. So.
We're damn.
We've been through just to play catch up a little bit. We've been through the story of the HBO Max deal and the China deal, which, when we dig a little bit at the information, the published information, obviously, because all we know are the statements that are put out through official channels. So we've been and traced that back and actually found that, not that it's not worth the paper it's printed on, but more so the fact that it's actually, not only does it stretch back to 2017 and 2019, but when you go back to the actual hard copy that was put out, none of it says anything about producing an amount of content.
Okay.
The only specifiers is to do with branding and to do with the possible time scale. And the time scale is all important. I mean, Gary mentions later on in his stream, which there's a link in the description of this video. If you want to see more about what Gary's got to say about it, he does talk about it for about 10 to 15 minutes or so with his own opinions, his own addition. So it's well worth catching. And so there is that. But there's this belief as well. When we know that Jodie Whittaker was only contracted to make 2 seasons, for example. We don't know this. We believe this. It's rumored that she was contracted. Her contract was extended for this batch of 8, maybe 6. 8 at the moment. It's 8. So that's her contract extended to make this, along with Mandip Gill's. All of their contracts were at the same time as Bradley's. Yes, she's still in the chat. At the same time as Bradley and Towson's ran out, so did everybody's. So they've extended theirs. Same with Chris Chibnall. He signed on. I think we did see this published, and he did say that he'd signed on for 5 years. But again, Chris Chibnall's first episode may have aired in 2018, but the guy has been working on the show since 2016.
You're not going to offer anybody a 5-year contract in today's world. Traditionally, you'll get a year offer with an option on another. And then after a second year, you might get an option on another. And then after that, you'll get an option on another year. But what he's talking about there is what we touched on before, is he's got a 5-year vision. But you're not going to go to somebody and say, here's a 5-year deal, sign that. No business is really going to do that in any sector. It's just not business sense, is it? Because if you muck it up, you've got to go through all the palaver.
I don't think the BBC has any sense anymore. I look at the fandom, and I think the way that the BBC or certain members of the BBC within the Doctor Who end of side of things interact with the Jodie fans, particularly, and to the exclusion of pretty much everyone else. They seem very much on board with each other. Like it's interwoven. And I think that kind of mentality, and I'm not speaking in a derogatory term, I mean that it's a simpatico, that they genuinely believe that this is a success. I really do believe that they believe that.
Do they?
The way that they presented the consolidated ratings, the 28 days consolidated ratings as if it was a success. It was only 200,000 in 28 days.
Here's why I don't think that they think it's a
There's
success.
a disconnect.
If you forget everything they're saying, and when I say saying, I include press release in that, everything they're saying and publishing to idiots. Okay, I'll take that back. To entities like the Radio Times and people like Hugh, what's his name? Hugh Whittington, Fullerton of the Radio Times, even Hugh Fullerton, that's it. And to people at SFX and to Doctor Who magazine, people who they have an established relationship with. It's one thing. That's what they're saying, but watch what they're actually doing. They had every opportunity, for example, to air a brand new feature-length Doctor Who on Christmas Day if they really believed in it. Instead, they filled the Christmas Day schedules with repeats, with remote filmed editions of stuff like Strictly Come Dancing, which disappointed everybody, and a farted little game show with Bradley Walsh.
Yeah, but that's a different branch of the BBC. It's not BBC Studio, and BBC Studio is taken up with a bunch of people who would be like the fans that we see engaging.
No, it's 50-50. No. I'll come in on that now. It's very much 50-50 in studios. They're not all kissing Wenger's arse.
No, of course not. No, I mean, I'm talking in generalised terms.
They had the opportunity to swap that in, and BBC Studios, it's all in the processes of melding into one, isn't it, Simon? Since the appointment,
absolutely. And the other thing that you've got to bear in mind with this is, of course, the BBC are going to big up the viewing figures. Of course, they're going to make it sound like it's doing fantastically. Because they're a business. At the end of the day, we've got to remember they are a business. These are business decisions they're making. They're not artistic decisions like we're thinking. They're business decisions. So of course they're going to big up the figures they've got, but that doesn't necessarily mean they believe in the products that they've got. And I genuinely don't think that they do believe in the product they got. But the irony of it is, I don't think they actually care. This is the problem. They don't care really whether
editorially the best it's ever been.
But whatever happens right now as well, as we said a few weeks ago, they will certainly know that when the Whittaker story hit, they will now see every paper hit that up and was celebrating it in a sense. I'm going to use that word. They were all going, oh, look, the next one, who's going to be, they were moving on. That hasn't gone unnoticed. They have been on various things like Talk Radio, Good Morning Britain, I think it's called, Channel 4, the debate talk shows have all been going on. Well, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. Now that has not gone unnoticed. They may try to deny it, but it has been, and it should be noticed.
I'm going to add to...
oh, yeah, Christian had a point.
Well, I was going to add to Simon's point, and I'm going to use it for those of you who have no poker. I'm going to say, Simon, I'm going to tack this word on. They're pot committed, no matter what happens at this point, if that makes sense to the poker game. If you play poker, especially Texas Hold'em, pot committed means you've put all this money in, because once you start seeing the river run, you've put all this money in thinking you have the best hand, but as soon as you get to the turn of the fourth card, you start seeing that you're losing, but you've already got all this money in. You've already committed yourself, knowing that you have a bad hand. So the only way to play this, and I'm not saying that this is the case, but this is the way I see it from this perspective, that we have to make this look good. I have to bluff. I have to either show you that my cards are better, or I've got to run this to the very end.
Look
we're already here. There's nothing else.
What's happening with Star Trek Discovery, with CW's Batwoman. All of these things are a complete flop, but they still keep putting it out. They keep announcing they're going to make another season and another season. I don't really think that these people know what the hell they're doing. That's
what I mean. Their problem being, you see, because with Batwoman is a prime example. There is a series that is a clear creative and critical disaster. You know, they pretty much sacked their lead, completely reinvented the show. The only reason that's come back for a second year is to save them face. It's been a standing joke for a year, but they would have you believe just that it was really, really successful. And the reason that they've recast the lead is because the show was too successful to let go. Talking about letting people go, Charlotte, I understand that you've got to pop off.
Bye, Charlotte.
Bye, Charlotte.
Bye, Charlotte.
Thank you for joining us, Charlotte.
Lots
of insight. Thank you.
I get to move on.
Bye.
Somewhere I get to move up. There we go.
I mean,
Why
this
is
is
that back at the bottom again?
this is the whole subject of
Brady Bunch.
Possibly. I don't even know what that is, but okay, I'll take it.
Sorry, JT. What
Even
was
if that's not a compliment, I'll take it.
I was going to say that the discussion we're having today and the theme of the show is about rumors, and there's an awful lot that goes out on there when it comes to rumors. This is, this has now become a rumor, but, it could also have been like, an observation like we did right at the very beginning of after Christmas here. We were observing what maybe, letting the show go quietly and taking it off air, not necessarily canceling, but just taking it off air was a great way to reset it. And, from a business point of view, that would actually tend to make sense. But then there's loads of other things. I mean, rumors have always been part of the Doctor Who community, and they used to be fun. But now, with the advent of social media, you've got things like this that go sky high. And we are now part of that, obviously, by discussing all this. But you've got certain Facebook groups I've noticed appearing over the last year or two who will do things deliberately, and they'll claim it's a rumor. But it'll be things like, the TARDIS is dying in the next series, or Russell said this or that, or a person who was in Doctor Who knows who the next Doctor Who is going to be, or whatever it's going to be. And it's done deliberately to drive people to their presence.
To keep it alive. That's
well, to keep them alive, to keep. I mean, I mentioned the word clickbait earlier. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And then when you've got people coming in on it as well, it's
a real shame.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's a real shame because as I keep saying, and I'll keep saying it, is that when they introduced Jodie, and my heart sunk, but I thought to myself, yeah, well, maybe let's give it a chance. If only they did the right thing. If only they didn't put this gender shit in it, and they treated her like a real woman, and they concentrated on the stories and didn't change canon, this would have been a huge success. But as it stands now, it's that they've just wrecked it completely.
It would have had a fighting chance, and I think
it would have had a fighting chance.
If they'd have been creative with that,
it
would have made all the difference. If they had, let's say, for example, I always go back to at the end of World Enough in Time. If they had at that moment where Missy said goodbye to the 12th Doctor, she grabbed his hand, looked down at the hand, and looked up in his eyes, and then walked away. She could have handed him a pocket watch. She would have known that he was going to die. She was going to die because she was going to stab herself in the back. So she could have passed on her regeneration energy to him. And then he would have fought the Cybermen. She would have fought the Master. She would have died, not regenerated. Then he would have gone off into the TARDIS,
Oh my God, this is really so right.
No, but let's forget. Look, let's just forget about the whole thing.
I'm just saying,
Jodie's been cast as the Doctor. That's all I'm saying. If, as I said, if you take that out of your mind, and if you did go with a woman, no matter who it was, and you treated the Doctor Who thing right, and you had good stories, it would have been a success.
But that's taking us right back to the argument of why was it necessary to change the Doctor's gender anyway? The Doctor was a Gallifreyan. It was established in our own continuity of the show that Gallifreyans are both male or female, and if they want to become a Time Lord, they go to the Academy where they're given the powers of regeneration. Gallifreyans are not born with the power of regeneration.
Hold on a second. We're talking now as fans as opposed to viewers, and to be perfectly honest, the viewers don't give a two stuffs about Gallifrey Academy or they don't care.
No, but we as fans do.
Well, I know.
I want to join that academy.
I want to be part of that. As a Prydonian. We as fans make up such a small amount of the audience that actually it's the general public you've got to keep happy. And so, to be honest, they don't care about the Academy. They really don't. What they care about is a good show, and whether it's a good show.
That's what we had.
I know. But I say, what I'm trying to say is,
Christian, I'd just like to say.
The public don't care about the Academy. What they care about is a good show. So if it's a good show, they will watch it. If it's not a good show, they won't watch it. And so that's where the crux of it comes down to. The public are not watching it, and so it's failing. Now, let's not also forget, though, that the BBC specifically said when they cast Jodie, I remember, and I wish I could find this, but I can't at the moment. I'm sure somebody might be able to find this for me. I remember them saying that they deliberately chose a woman. They had decided it was time to choose a woman. So going back to what you and I were saying earlier, Ian, which is the best person gets the job.
Yeah.
That didn't happen in this case.
No, it didn't.
They specifically went for a woman. So I suppose if we're going to be really rubbish, we could say, okay, the best woman got the job, which is a terrible thing to say. But that's what they're basically saying.
That isn't even true either.
That isn't
the
true
other thing
either.
is,
But
the
the
only
fact
reason they did it was
remains
so they could have the glass
The
ceiling.
fact remains they made their casting decision for the wrong reason, which is we now have decided it's going to be a woman. Forget whether it's the best person for the job.
I know.
Be a woman.
All accounts.
And that's where they went wrong.
Simon,
That's exactly where they went wrong. You're right. Sorry, Dan.
Glass ceiling.
All
That's
accounts,
what it was
Simon.
about.
Right, all accounts, Simon, are, and we've got this in black and white, interviews, Chris Chibnall, it was a proviso. He was not going to accept the role unless he could change the gender. So
There we go.
it's never going to be a man, no matter what. That is confirmed. We know.
Thank you for finding that, Dan.
And it was
But we've known that. We've discussed that. That was the meeting he had with Wenger and Moore, where he said this, and he laid it all out. Female doctor, and then everything else he did, and he's done everything. And it happened to chime in with the fact that Wenger and Moore are that way politically and wanted that, and so that's going to be great. But we've known that is down in documentation. However, if they had gone another route in a parallel world and they get somebody else in, we wouldn't be having this conversation now because the Doctor would still be male.
Well, but also, had they cast a good female
that's my point.
in the part, again, the public would have gone with it. This is
I
the
reckon
truth.
so.
We might not. We might. I
Michelle Gomez idea.
personally, but the public would have done it.
Yeah, and if they didn't screw around the canon and try to put all this political crap in there, it would have been great.
Don't care.
Yeah.
Again,
The only reason they did the timeless child story arc was so that the Doctor was originally a little black girl. That's the only reason they did it. It's not a creative decision.
But you've also got to look at the fact that Chibnall would have still produced the stories he has produced, and that's what's alienated the public as well, because they are seeing through the messages, and they're not buying into it.
Well, it's so ham-fisted.
And that's what's led people in the fandom. I mean, problem being a few minutes ago, you talked us through kind of your headcanon of what you would, very creative, the way that you've kind of had to reach in your mind because you care about the show, because you love the show, that this could have been the way it had gone. This could have been the way it ended if need
When Michelle Gomez stepped out the TARDIS and said, "Hello, I'm Doctor Who," I believed her.
Doctor Who?
I could believe her. When Michelle Gomez came out the TARDIS in World Enough in Time, she came out.
All I could say is, listen,
hello, I'm just.
I got a lot to unpack here. I got a lot to unpack.
To hear you talk like that, this is confirmation of something that I want to clarify, because obviously a lot of people have watched us on this stream. Yes, so please hit like if you've been here this long, and I know most of you have been here the full time. Please hit like, subscribe to the channel, because there are going to be more streams like this coming up. There's going to be some light stuff as well, but more heavy stuff too. Lots of stuff coming to the Space channel and Type 40. So please like and subscribe. But the point of the matter is, and this takes me back to that episode of The Crown that I watched called Marionettes. The guy who'd criticised the royal family in that, who took his criticisms to print and that reached the ears of the court and the royal family themselves, did so not because he wanted to destroy the monarchy, because he wanted to see them gone. He was actually a royalist at heart, believed that in the necessity of a royal family. He respected the royal family and wanted to see it continue. And we are all Doctor Who fans. None of us want to be saying any of this. None of us want to be facing down the barrel of this, to see the spectre of Michael Gray that we were laughing about earlier on. The fact that we've got to laugh these things off. But the fact is, it's deeply important to us, and we love it just as much as you do, whether Jodie's your doctor or not. Whoever's your doctor, whenever you started watching this show, we are with you. We want it to continue. We want the best for it. And a rest may be for the best. That's something we all may have to consider.
You have to make difficult decisions.
It has to go to sleep now. It really does. It really needs to go to sleep so that people can just forget about this error a bit. And when it comes back, it doesn't matter. It'll probably come back as a black guy. The Doctor will probably be a black guy if they don't go for a woman, which is probably in line with what the BBC is trying to do. Yeah, that'll be okay.
As long as it's a male.
As long as they can act.
It needs to go to sleep. That's what it needs to do.
What were you saying to me earlier? What were you saying to me? What were you saying to me?
I was just saying that you look like you're flying an X-wing.
I am.
When you move the camera, it looks like you're flying.
always flying an X-wing.
The first thing about it is, and this is where I'll probably be the one on the negative side. It's first of all, you say Jodie's not the right woman. I say she is, but they haven't I'm going to say this. It's not that she's not the right woman. She can do it. I've seen her do it. The thing is, they're not allowing her to do it. The directors, the writers, they put her in this pigeonhole of what she and it's just here's the funny part.
She's had 2 seasons to do it right.
No. I'm not saying that. But the thing is, I've seen her do it. Not in the show. There was a movie. I'm going to see. There was a movie that it was called Attack the Block. When I saw it premiere on the cable channel, they were pushing that it was a Nick Frost comedy, and I watched it. Yeah. It was horrible. I hated Nick Frost. The storyline was garbage. The aliens, it's one of those stories where you're rooting for the aliens to kill the main people. The only redeeming factor that I liked about this movie was Jodie. And if she could have taken that interpretation and shoved it into her doctor, it would have been a totally different thing.
I can't even remember her in it. Sorry.
It's not a memorable movie. I just remember the one cringy line. The one cringy line that just the same thing of what was it? Anakin Skywalker, when he's at the last movie, he's going like, to me, my interpretation, the Jedi are the bad guys. I'm like, are you kidding me? There was a line in that movie that made me cringe when Jodie is helping that person with his hurt foot, one of the gang members, and she mentions and she just blurts out that she's going like, well, I'm deciding to move out over here. I don't like the neighborhood. And one of the gang members turns to her and goes, what's wrong with the neighborhood? It's a rough neighborhood. I'm going like, you're robbing the woman. You're robbing her. If I was in that neighborhood, I'd move out. You're robbing her as you're telling her why it's
Isn't that the joke?
Yeah, that is the joke. But I'm just like, okay, well, whatever. But I think she can do it. They just haven't done it. Yeah, we're kind of at the point where it's not going to happen unless they do a
under bad management. That's
it's under bad management.
Well, Chibnall and Wenger, in my opinion, are far more important in terms of leaving the show than she is. I'll say that because I think it's really down to the terrible writing, and I think that what Chibnall has done is he knows he's a hack, he knows he's a plagiarist. He knows he hasn't got the talent. So what does he do? He hires beneath him so that they don't show him up.
And Kel Lynch, I'm going to say this. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't make her right for the role. I had like 2 or 3 other people ahead of her. I thought she would be okay with the role, but it's not that she's not right for the role. Her execution of the role made her not right for the role.
The role is a male role.
I've always said that. I've always said that if she was under better management, she may have just scraped by being a passable doctor. But unfortunately, she got the worst. She got terrible juvenile scripts, and she got horrible management, and they let her carry on with that stupid accent.
She's not interesting. She's not interesting enough. All the other doctors, they all stand up because they've all got very strong, charismatic personalities. They're highly intelligent people. She can barely string a sentence together.
If Jodie Whittaker had bothered to go and do her research on the characters she was playing and assessed what Colin Baker used to call the doctorness of each incarnation, and then she had the ability to build a character based on what she had seen, she may have been able to do it.
It may have been possible.
The footage I've seen, she can't deliver a line. That play I saw her in, I keep harking on about it.
And then she says about the white male gaze, I mean, and just dismissing the entire history of Doctor Who.
I don't think with the best scripts in the world, give her the talons of Wen Chiang. Can you imagine her in the talons of Wen Chiang?
No.
I'm sorry. She can't. I genuinely believe that she can't do it in the same way that I believe Ollie Alexander can't do it. It's like I said right back at the beginning. The role of the Doctor requires very, very specific and almost gravitas. Absolutely. Every time it needs gravitas, and it needs unique talents. You've got to be a very special kind of person.
It's the directors, the producer, it's the writers. It's more than the sum
actor as well, person. Ian. You know that. We've said before, any actor who gets a good script.
But this is why I'm saying it. It's because it's not just about the actor. If she was under better management, if they had a really good director and had a really good producer and a really good writer, she could have been a passable doctor.
Listen, Peter Capaldi was given some dud scripts and he sparkled.
That's because he's a better actor.
Exactly.
That's why.
But
That's
remember,
the whole point.
we
And that's why- and that's
chastised
why
the
it
script. We
keeps-
didn't
Somebody's
chastise.
talking cross
Chris-
purposes.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Look, any actor, you can put any actor and you can make them passable. Even if they're not, you can do it. Believe
Christian,
me,
what do you think? What do you
Do
think
it.
to that, Christian?
What's that?
if it's under better management.
I totally agree. I mean, this could have worked. It's just that the whole package. This was the perfect storm. You had writers who had no clue about Doctor Who. In fact, I joked and I said one of the things about the new writers going to the new season, you have to sit down and watch the entire series of Doctor Who that exists, and then you have to write essays on each series that you liked about each Doctor. Yep. You're going to have to do the research. You're going to find out. I have to sit here and watch that the talents of one of the great shows that we couldn't even show today, the talents of Wayne Chiang, will now sit in a room together with Orphan 55, which is like, I can't, no, how did this happen? Douglas Adams is going to sit there with Praxis. We came before, maybe we were spoiled as fans, and we should be, because this was the best stuff. This was the best creative.
Well, this is what happens. This is what happens when you hire people who are third-rate soap opera writers and political playwrights and poets. You're not hiring the best people for the job, and then you've got people who are there because they want to change things. Like Kurtzman said about Star Trek, it's a platform. Yeah, it's not an entertainment show anymore. It's not about
and
it's about
just
platforming. And that's what they're there for.
One thing I like to say is that it's okay that we disagree. This is the great thing about entertainment and TV shows and stuff like that. But I want to ask JT a question. JT, if you were the showrunner, right, and they said you had to take Jodie on, what is the first thing you would do? What would be the first thing you would say to Jodie?
Well, apart from fire her. I remember answering that question on my first show on here, which I would say I would sack her, and I would, because if you couldn't
sack her, JT,
then I wouldn't take the job.
Exactly.
Well, if you had the job already, and
if I had the job already, she wouldn't be there.
No,
you're
avoiding the question.
I'm not avoiding the question. I'm answering it properly.
Avoiding the question. What would you do?
A big man.
What would you do?
Down by the river.
I'm answering your question, Ian, truthfully. If I was in this show and I was told you had to go with Jodie Whittaker, I would sack her, and I would reboot it after a year's break with a male lead.
I've been in situations where you can't move anywhere because the producer tells you have to take this person or you have to take that DOP on because he's a friend of so-and-so. The question I'm asking is, if that was the case for you, what would the first?
I'd leave.
Tell you what I'd do.
I'm with JT. Totally on this.
Again,
I'm answering your question truthfully, because that is what you're asking me what I would do. I've got three options I've given you. That's what I would do. I would either not take the job.
Okay, so
I would leave. My artistic interpretation of what Doctor Who would be.
Simon, what would you do? Simon, what would you
do? First, I would literally sit in a corner and cry for a very long honestly. If I seriously was presented with that, I would cry.
Rocking backwards and forwards.
Secondly, the only thing to do, the only thing in that situation, if I was forced into a situation you are saying, Ian, is to go out and get the damn goodest, best writers you possibly can. And at the moment, they haven't got that. But you've got, but it's still, what I'm saying is it still wouldn't rescue it. It doesn't matter.
Well, as I said, we can muck
She's
around
the face of the show.
Again, it was
her face doesn't sell. Doesn't sell magazines. Doesn't sell anything.
I totally agree with that problem being. You look at some of this merchandise. Like the other week, Dan flashed up I don't know the episodes, but the latest Blu-ray DVD thing that's come out. She doesn't look like Doctor Who.
That's
There's no magic to that face.
She looks like a mum.
But they've given her a crappy costume.
Okay, I feel we're drifting. I feel that we are drifting into territory we have been over several times now, with all with everything that she does right and everything that she does wrong. There are none of us are fans. There are people out there who do like it for various reasons. None of us are fans of what she's been doing. That's never going to change. I would argue that, in my book, 22 episodes are more than enough. If not now, then fucking when, Jodie.
Now, every Doctor so far, we've fallen in love with them within 2 episodes, 3 episodes, max.
Okay. Before we wind down, I just want to say that none of us know anything, and we're not. None of us know anything.
No.
Hashtag
No.
sack Chibnall.
And
Chibnall out.
publicly, nobody out there actually has said anything either about the Doctor, about the character, or really about the series itself past these 8 episodes. Nobody, apart from one person has spoken publicly. I flashed a picture of her up a moment ago, and it's this actress here, Tiana Miller. She's spoken publicly. I don't think she realised she was speaking publicly, when she spoke, because this was about 2 months ago. Miller, who's been in Doctor Who, if you remember, she played the second incarnation of the General back at the tail end of the Capaldi era, midway through the Capaldi era. So she's spoken about it before. Back in late autumn, she was on Twitter and mentioned that she knew the identity of somebody who'd been cast as the next Doctor, in inverted commas. That tweet was immediately taken down, obviously from a public platform. None of us have any right to expect any form of privacy, obviously, with anything we do in public, in any sense, out in public or on a public platform. It was taken down. But a few days ago, I don't know if you've heard about this, a few days ago, Tiana Miller spoke again on an app called Cameo. Now, Cameo is the app where people can pay, I think, anywhere from between £30 and £100 to speak one-to-one with actors, celebrities, people they admire, for as little as 3 to 4 minutes.
Why would you?
Ask them. I've no bloody idea. But ask them any question you like. And for obviously there's they get remunerated. I think they get it via their agent or whatever. Somebody paid to speak to Ms. Miller, and they put the question to her about Doctor Who. Now, why you'd spend that kind of money just to talk about Doctor Who, I've no idea. But somebody did. They asked her about this all over again. And I've got this, rather than me trying to quote it, and you guys trying to think, oh, what kind of tone was this said in? You know, it could mean this, it could mean that. Why don't we listen to Tiana Miller right now and see what she had to say? I have got it. Where is it?
It's going to be interesting.
It's here somewhere. Over to Miss Miller.
So I actually know in person the next Doctor Who, although of course I can't say, but she is. I said a she. Shit. Oh my god. Oopsie. He are fabulous, absolutely fabulous and fierce, and I've worked with them. They're a beautiful, beautiful soul, and you are gonna absolutely fall in love with them. I can promise you that. Oh,
groan.
I've seen that talked about a lot over on Twitter, Facebook, all the usual places where people congregate to talk about it. Everything from calling the person who'd reported it a liar and somebody who'd faked it. I've heard people call Tiana Miller a liar and that she's made it up. Why somebody would make it up, I've no idea. But this is now twice that this woman has spoken. I would argue that she is absolutely convinced that somebody that she knows has been cast as a new next Doctor. Now, I don't know if any of you, obviously you could read body language. We don't know this woman, and she is an actress. But I think that was somebody speaking candidly. She thought in a one-to-one scenario where money had changed hands, and maybe naively didn't realise that it was going to make it to the internet the way that every single word about Doctor Who always does. So I believe that she believes that somebody's been cast. Professional integrity, she wouldn't make it up. Would anybody disagree with my reading of that?
But Dan, do you remember before Christmas, you actually on this show said that there was going to be another one-off Doctor Who in the next series? Like the person they apparently introduced last year. There it is. There she is. Sorry, do apologize. I don't know this actress, so there you go. So there you go. That's possibly what they're doing. They're introducing another one-off as part of these next.
Do we know if she's worked with her before?
No, that's it.
I haven't had a chance to look it up yet.
No, I haven't had a chance yet.
I just got hold of that the clip only a few hours ago. But yes, so the people who do believe that Miss Miller is telling the truth, and obviously are very keen on wanting Doctor Who to continue with Chibnall, have taken this as proof that Doctor Who stands no chance of cancellation, that there will be a 14th full Doctor on screen, another era, business as usual. And that means, sorry, Simon, but that by a process of logic, obviously that means that what we have heard, what Gary Beaker on Nerdrotic has heard, can't be the truth, that those insiders aren't true, and that Doctor Who is safe. But I would say that what Miss Miller says there actually marries up perfectly with what we heard a couple of months ago about Parminder Nagra, who's a great actress, in my book would be a lot more preferable to Jodie Whittaker as Doctor Who and Jo Martin as Doctor Who. But my belief, this series coming up, there will be another fugitive-style Doctor, and it's most likely to 100% be this actress. What do you think, Simon? Sorry.
No, all I was going to say is I think, if it is anything at all, it's another rogue Doctor or whatever. It's another Jo Martin kind of fly-off Doctor. And the reason I'm saying that is because I genuinely don't think that, let's be brutally honest here, a bit part player would know who the next Doctor is going to be, and this wouldn't have got out.
She said she worked with her, right? She said she worked with her. She said she worked with her.
I'm sure she has, but that person will be sworn to secrecy.
Yes. You're right. Yes.
Because they'll be contractually obliged to be sworn to secrecy.
Absolutely.
So I just cannot believe that this person, who I've personally never even heard of, would happen to know who the next Doctor is, and it wouldn't have got out by now. So I would, but I do believe that whoever this person is, Tiana, did you say Tiana Miller? I don't know who she is. She believes that she knows who the next Doctor is, and it's because somebody has been cast as yet another Doctor. How many Doctors were there in The Timeless Children?
How many will he need for the 60th anniversary?
Maybe,
how many women will he need for that? He'll need at least 5, won't he? So there you go.
It may be possible that she look. Or let's just take the worst case scenario that she does get
trying
cast.
to say goodbye.
She just all right. See ya. She does get cast as the next Doctor. Right? It might be a situation like Paul McGann where they make a one-off and then it goes to sleep for another couple of years and then they revitalize it. Do you know what I mean? So it might happen that way.
But Jo Martin Doctor that is an entire episode devoted to that particular Doctor in effect. But in my mind, Jo Martin is not the Doctor. And so
same here.
It's immaterial.
And to me, Tiana Miller isn't going to, all she knows is that it's the new Doctor, that Jo Martin was the new Doctor.
Absolutely.
Christian, understand we've got to lose you now.
She's famous for saying that very sexist remark, wasn't she? She's very famous for saying that very sexist remark against men in that episode.
Well, let's be honest. Let's stop it there for a moment. Firstly, that was a character, to be fair. Those are words that were literally put in her mouth. And secondly, I just want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining. I just want to say thank you for joining us, Christian Basil. And you're streaming tonight as well, aren't you, over on the Travelling TARDIS?
I'm streaming tonight, and I'll leave it this. Hang on a second. Let me just do something real fast. First of all, we just started a YouTube channel, and if you want to know who your friends are and want anxiety and stress to a level that you couldn't even begin to imagine, start a YouTube channel. Trust me. It'll be all right. So yeah, we're going to be on tonight. We're talking about the new Doctor. You know what? I will give you a preview of what I was going to say as who I think the next Doctor should be, if I can do that. If I can be so bold. Hang on a second. I will do this. I'm going to say we're actually, everybody on our team has picked a new actor or actress to be the new Doctor, but this is what I want to happen. Jodie drops to her knees. She goes to the floor. Whatever happened to her, radiation, whatever thing that they want to make up, and she's got her arms all apart. Her face starts to turn that yellow, bright yellow stuff. That regeneration, whatever now, because we can't just kill the Doctor and then just wake up. We need to take 2 weeks to kill the Doctor now. And she falls to her knees, and then all of a sudden see her face change, and then boom, it blacks out. Cut to black.
Mm.
At this point, we still haven't announced who the 14th Doctor is. Mm. In the next scene, you hear in the blackness, it sounds like there's a war or something going on. And you can hear 2 men in voices going like, have you found the Doctor? Where's the Doctor? And all of a sudden, you just are listening in the blackness as they start moving around. It sounds like they're walking on bricks or something. And then all of a sudden, you see this tarp pulled back, and laying on the ground is Paul McGann, the Eighth Doctor. Hang on. You want to hear the whole story? Hold on. The Eighth Doctor is there, and the two guys standing above him are going like, there's the Doctor, and one of them goes, that's not the one we're looking for, and the other one goes, we'll take him, and all of a sudden he takes the back of his gun, hits the Doctor over the head, and blackout, and all you see in the next tagline is, the Doctor will return. If you want to know the rest of that story, I will tell it tonight on the Traveling TARDIS.
It's funny because you say that, because I've had this discussion before. Like, wouldn't it be? I mean, we know that the Doctor can revisit old faces. Obviously, with Tom Baker coming back as the curator, and I was having this conversation before about how it would be great if we had the Eighth Doctor come back as the 14th Doctor, and just.
I haven't said anything.
I know you haven't, but I mean,
it's a story that I'll finish
just to see him on my show. Yeah, so just to see Paul McGann.
But
sounds great. I'll be
again, and then all of a sudden he gets hit by a barrel of a gun, and then boom, blackout, and he says the Doctor will return, and that is it. And I will leave the second half of that story tonight on my show. So you got a preview.
Yes, and as you may know, you've got Christian later on, a few hours' time, UK time. I think it's about 5 hours' time. The Rabbi, which actually the Rabbi is probably hurtling through time and space as we speak. But thanks for joining us, Christian.
Bye, Christian.
I'll see you later. For absolutely fantastic stuff. And before we go, because we've been to the depths with this, haven't we? Let's cheer ourselves up with a nice cozy family picture. What do you say? How about this? How about there they are?
Yeah.
Now this came online a couple of days ago, didn't it, Simon? I think you tagged me in this that our friend Gary Finney there had shared.
I did. I knew you'd want to share this tonight.
So yeah, that's
a happy belated birthday to our Liz.
Yeah. Beautiful. It's so sad. I think it was yesterday, wasn't it? She would have been. Her birthday was yesterday.
That's so Pertwee, the surviving Pertwee.
How old would she have been anyway?
She'd have been 75 yesterday.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or not. And there she's with Richard Franklin, who played Mike Yates, and Nick Courtney, the Brigadier, and Joe Grant, Katie Manning, along with Terence Dix, the script editor, and Barry Letts there on the far right, who was the producer all through that time. Dear people, I met a few of them, but it's so nice to see them sort of stood there together, very much full of life, full of warmth.
What about the Dalek? You mentioned everybody else, but you didn't mention the Dalek.
I don't know his name.
Terrence.
No, that's Deefa Dalek. He's still working. He's in Hamlet at the moment.
Aren't we a silly lot? Oh, yes, thank you for joining me on this live.
Where was my picture? I sent you one to put up.
If you have, I haven't seen it yet. So
you said okay. I thought you had it. The one I sent you on Twitter.
If I had it, it would be up. If I had it,
next week.
Yes, it'll be in next week. So yes, send us the pictures. Send us the fan art. We love all that stuff. We want more. We want to see what you're doing, what catches your eye out there. And yes, need I remind you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, of course. Yes, once you like, share, and subscribe, come back for more here on the Spacebook channel. Let's have one last look inside the chat. Looks like a planet of the Daleks. Dalek, says Duncan Shaw. Got a keen eye for a Dalek. Kelly Lynch says it's not a dildo Dalek, I should hope.
Thanks, Kelly.
And that's a whole show. That's a new show altogether.
Photo. I'm not sure what that's about, but hey, whatever floats your boat. Anybody got anything to plug? Anybody else on any more streams? We've had Christians, we've had the rabbis. Problem being, what are you up to this evening?
I'm having a rest. I just completed doing a cover for a Doctor Who fan audio thing, and I've got to get back to doing Rabbi's video for his Indiegogo campaign, so that's fun. It's just full of technical problems at the moment.
Garbage. Got a really strange message here from Garbage. I don't really know.
What does garbage mean?
No idea.
No idea.
No idea what garbage means.
No idea. No idea.
Oh yeah, because you accidentally always post that picture up with the line of doctors.
He doesn't accidentally do it. He doesn't deliberately do it. It's an accident.
No, he doesn't know anything about it. No, not at all.
We get hacked. The pod just gets hacked.
That used to be my headliner on Twitter. No, my header.
What?
We're being hacked. We're being hacked.
You can tell me later. You can tell me later. You can tell me later. Yes, thank you for joining us this evening. I hope you've had a good one. It's been, again, we've got it all out. We've explored every side to this particular subject. Back to the more cheerful stuff next week for our sort of mid-season finale. I think we'll find something a bit more creative with a bit more bounce to talk about. But yeah, I did feel like this was the elephant in the room, everybody, that really needs to talk about. We do keep all the podcasts, of course, which are also on the Facebook channel. All the podcasts are slightly different. We don't really do news on the podcast. We don't do rumors and speculation. But here on YouTube, with your interaction, your comments, and those likes. If you haven't liked the channel yet, why not like the video, subscribe to the channel? Please do. Yeah, and check back for more. We're back with more Type 40 Live soon. There'll be lots of podcasts and other shows coming up if you like Doctor Who, Blake 7, Star Trek, all that stuff. And yeah, that about covers it. I think, everybody, thank you. I hope you've all enjoyed yourselves too.
Goodbye.
Got it all out of your system. But yeah, for now, that's it from us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.